From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all the late breaking news last week, wrapping it all up, making sense of it all so that you know what to talk about when you get back to work on Monday and you're around a water cooler and you know exactly what happened, the details and how they happened. And when your friends or your family or people you just know start talking about fake news, you'll be able to explain why it's fake. You'll be able to expose it as being fake. And then if you're talking to your friends and you're explaining something to them, understand, folks, you're talking to somebody that believes in you and trusts in you, but understand there's going to be a third person that's eavesdropping in on your conversation. That's who you're actually talking to inadvertently.
Interesting that you say that, because that's exactly what it looked like at the MAGA meetup. That was Saturday. It was yesterday. And that was in Dayton. And a young man named Joel Patrick, and I think he is at Joel Patrick 1776 on Twitter, ran this thing, and I didn't know what to expect. I've been to some MAGA meetups or some attempted MAGA meetups, and you get kind of mixed results depending on how well the word gets out. This was at a Chick-fil-A.
Oh, how nice.
And there were a lot of people there. There were a lot, and they were all wearing either MAGA hats, some sort of a Trump hat, or an NRA hat.
Oh, nice.
And the whole place was like a sea of red hats, and Joel was wearing this red, white, and blue Make America Great Again jacket, which a lot of people were like, I want that jacket. So
it looked like the jacket from American Priorities Conference.
It does. In fact, my first thought, because it looked like he had it tucked in, so I'm not sure if it was a jacket or a shirt. My first thought was, he's wearing the onesie.
Yeah.
And he's wearing jeans over the top of the onesie so he could pull it off. Either that or he had it tailored, like he cut it and then tailored it so that it's just a shirt. But it looks like identical. It would not surprise me at all if the same manufacturer that made the onesie also made this jackets. But the reason I brought that up is because you just brought up that people who overhear your conversations around you. It's exactly what was happening at this Chick-fil-A. It was like half of everybody in there was so crowded, but only half were the MAGA meetup people. And there were all these discussions going on, and they even had like this round table, and I literally mean round table.
Oh, nice.
Patrick is sitting in the center in a chair, and he has an entire circle of people around him, and he's just talking, and he's talking like issues and policies and State of the Union and wall and immigration, and he's just kind of throwing out. It honestly sounded like he was like having a class, because everybody there was so young. I'm telling you, it reminds me of when I became Catholic and I was talking to my priest who was like kind of getting me up to speed on, learning about Catholicism. And he said that he loved to hear the screams of a baby at Mass.
During Mass.
During Mass. Because they could be trying because of how, when a baby cries, it's like there's some sort of resonant frequency that's going on that just penetrates your soul, and you're just like you got to do something about it. Like, how do I get the baby to stop crying? I think it's like a genetic thing that you have to do that. But he's like, oh, no, I love it. I love it because I know that the future of Christianity is strong because this new generation is coming up. And that's how I felt at this Chick-fil-A with all, like, these kids were like, I thought they were high school kids, but I'm getting kind of old. So college kids look like high school kids these days.
Oh, no.
Getting a little old. But I was like, gosh, these guys are like in high school or something. Come to find out, they were naming the different colleges that they went to. And the place was chock full of these young kids, and they were all big Trump supporters. I don't think these are millennials.
No, this is Gen Z.
Yeah.
Gen Z. And so, folks, if this is the first time you've been on the show, crush to share, crush to follow. This is Smith Radio, military veteran talk radio. Back in the 90s, Carrie was in the Marine Corps. Back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force. We're cousins, but some people mistake us for brothers. That's all right.
We don't fight it anymore. It's like, all right, we'll be brothers.
And so we've been talking politics, epic conversations on the phone for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time sometimes for the last 15, 20 years. And we decided 5 years ago we needed to put this to audio and save the audio for historic value.
Well, so that the aliens that come down and want to find out if there was ever life on the planet could dig it up and find out what happened. What happened?
And so the audio time capsule of the things that were happening throughout the day, we were like, oh my, nobody's going to believe this 1,000 years from now that this is what destroyed America. Yeah. And so lo and behold, Donald Trump showed up on the scene and said, now we're not going down that fast right now.
He's fighting it. He's fighting it.
And so we are poised in a position right now with SmithTV.com, Smith TV. We're in a position right now for the 2020 run-up. And we're going to be changing up the format a little bit in the sense that we're attempting to shift to a daily Monday through Friday type show.
I guess I better clear my calendar.
We're shifting, folks. There's some things that have happened here recently, and I feel that all these things that have happened recently have happened for a reason, a good reason, and we are attempting to make that shift this year. This is the fight of our lives, folks. Seriously, 2020 is around the corner, and don't take these half-witted, dim-witted Democrats as if one of them isn't going to actually show up on the scene and make a splash and garner some kind of votes and support and money.
Actually attain the kind of power that they need to implement the stuff that you're just like, I mean, these people that I hear conservatives calling stupid, dim-witted or whatnot, one day, if they get to the position that they need to get to, all the things that you think are insane policies will actually be put in place. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop it at that point.
And Christian Gillibrand and all these other knuckleheads are still screaming about the biggest crisis in America is global warming and how we need to stop it. And I'm like, Al Gore did that 10 years ago and said we would all be underwater by now. Come on, man.
Well, he just got the timeline a little bit off, but it was still true. It just, the timing.
So we have at our dispose social media, folks. We have at our dispose technology that allows us to reach to you, allows for you to be involved and connected with us and connected with other MAGA folks. I was thinking about this earlier this week. Back in the day, we were all separated by technology, separated by the lack thereof.
Do you remember coming home from school and finding your friends?
You had to go find them.
They weren't within a telephone because they were outside.
In high school, Friday night. In high school, if you had a car or you were in a buddy's car and you were looking for IROC Greg, because he drove an IROC, he's a little wealthy, but he's, you know. So I'm riding around in a Buick Regal with Jim and had rims. And had Kenwood.
Oh, wow. He didn't have a Pioneer?
No, Kenwood. He was all about Kenwood.
I like Kenwoods better than Pioneer, too.
And so we're riding around. We're going through the mall parking lot. We're riding around, looking for IROC Greg. We're looking for his IROC, the black IROC.
Literally going to the spots that you would normally. By the way, you millennials might remember if they're older millennials. Gen Z, this is a foreign concept.
Yeah, we would stop at a payphone and put a couple of quarters in, and if you could remember his home phone number.
Oh, no. We had everybody's number. No, memorized.
Memorized.
You had your, I mean, think about it. It's the same today. You have a finite number of people that you actually call on the phone and talk to regularly. It's a very small number. You may not realize it because you have thousands of followers on Facebook. You have thousands of followers on Twitter. You have thousands and thousands of people in your contacts list. But you can memorize all the most important ones. But you know what? If there's somebody that you don't, you call up the person who you think does have it memorized.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, and now I just press the button on my iPhone and say, "Hey Siri." Yeah, I expose myself. I've got the old iPhone 7. It does have a button on it. But I just say, "Hey Siri, call Hot Mama," and it says, "Calling Nettie Smith."
Oh, boy. So
that'd be my wife.
Yeah.
I digress. So you have to go around, run around, either call their house or drive past their house to see where their car was.
Do you know before TomTom, Garmin, and now Google Maps on your phone, I remember having to consciously calculate in my head the best directions to go to get to my destination. As soon as I started using GPS, I was an NPC. I was I'd just be in the car listening to the radio and just driving, and all of a sudden I was there. Didn't care where I was. Didn't care because the TomTom was going to tell me to turn.
After 9/11, I went out to California. In California, in Los Angeles.
Without a GPS?
Yes. In California, all the roads are straight. They're all straight. Yeah, it's all laid out like Vegas.
Okay,
like
Yuma's like that.
Yeah.
Yuma's straight.
So I come back to Cincinnati 2012, and I'm in a car with Carrie.
There's no straight streets.
And he put the TomTom. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You've lived here all your life. I can tell you how to get there. And he's like, you are going to be shocked.
There's so many turns and
the
levels.
The roads you thought are the fastest are not.
Oh, that's true. That's true. A lot of people in Cincinnati who think they got it memorized, live their whole life here, don't realize that they're not taking it the fastest way.
So back on track. Here's the thing that we're talking about. We're talking about reaching Gen Z, reaching millennials. We have at our disposal the ability to reach out to anyone fairly on the cheap. I mean, it's not like we have a broadcasting station, and we do have to pay for all this stuff.
But we were doing this for a lot less than what the equipment costs now for like the higher quality stuff.
Higher quality and video before we were just audio only. So, but anyways, that being said, this is what we do. This is our calling. This is our calling, is to help try and make a difference in the world. And again, this week we were just. It seems like we say it every time before we hit the go button. Mm-hmm. This week, truly, I think, was the biggest information dump.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. I think this is going to be an important show for a lot of people because there's a lot of stuff that happened that not everybody knew about. It's possible you didn't even know about certain news items because they didn't hit the mainstream media at all, but are so important that you got to hear them.
Right. So here's the rundown. And again, at the bottom of the hour, at the 5:30 hour, we're waiting for our very special guest, MahgdalenRose, who would be considered Gen Z.
Well, she'll tell us.
Okay.
She may have described herself as a millennial, but I think if you were born after 2005.
I think they're calling it 2000.
Okay. All right.
So like from 1980 to 2000
is millennial.
Something like that. Yeah, right in there.
Okay. And then I thought it would be more like 85 to 2005. And it sounds like it's very nuanced, but it does make a difference in who we're talking about today. But and it also, you can identify with whatever gender you want. You can certainly identify.
But I will say this too,
with a generation.
Depending on if you're at the polar extremes, like your father is at a different end of the baby boomers than my mother or Bill Clinton. 1946 to 1964. Bill Clinton is 1946.
My dad's the exact same age as Rush Limbaugh.
Okay, what year was he born?
51.
Oh, so yeah, that gap.
He's like at the peak of the baby boom explosion.
All right, well that's not that bad then.
But I have an uncle that was born in 64. What the hell's he?
Yeah, so take your uncle 64 and take Bill Clinton at 46, and they're both baby boomers?
There's definitely some So it's not like everybody's in the hospital in the what do they call it, the maternity ward,
right.
And they're like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ding ding. All right, everybody born after this time is now a different generation.
Not only that, but I will say this: anybody born in the 60s, like 64 to 69.
Mm-hmm. Kat in Arizona said she's no longer a boomer. So Brian can't blame her for ruining the world any longer.
Okay, good.
That'll be good.
Yeah. I'll just take it out on those older boomers. No, but like if you were born in 65, I was born in 73.
You're clearly Gen X.
But we don't. But 65 and 73, there's definitely a big difference.
It's the lost generation.
Dude, in the middle.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. You're at that weird transition where it's hard. I can't accept somebody born in 1965 saying that they're a baby boomer. It's like, dude, you were born 20 years after the end of World War II. How could you possibly be a baby boomer?
And you were 75. 75.
Yeah.
So somebody 65 to 75, you really would not have that much.
Well, you're not after 64. They said 45 to 64 is the baby boomer generation. But so if you're born in 65, you're definitely not a baby boomer. But you're pretty old Gen Xer. I'll tell you that.
So we have a very, very talented, very intelligent, very young, making a huge splash in the social media network. If you want to say, because we say people are famous, but I put the air quotes, they're famous on social media. There is definitely a fame to be garnered, if you will, when you reach the 50,000 follower mark, the 100,000 follower mark, or if you're at a 250,000 follower mark on Twitter, you're a air quotes famous person on social media. Now, obviously, people like my dad or my mom or somebody you run into at the grocery store might not have no clue who Mike Cernovich or Jack Posobiec is.
Yeah, it's amazing when you run into people that they don't know certain people. Like Joel said, "Oh, I know Jack Posobiec," almost as if like he wasn't as well known as he is. But all those Gen Z kids, older Gen Z, I think, maybe young millennials. They don't use Twitter. Almost all of them are like, yeah, I have a Twitter account. Okay, what is it? And they were like, hold on.
What are they using?
They're all using Instagram.
My wife uses Instagram. She's all over it.
Yeah, they're all using – they're like, I said, what do you normally use the most? And they're like, Instagram. So right there, right off the bat, I mean, Twitter is already dying considering that these younger generation kids are just like – they're just not – they don't think Twitter's that important.
Right. So real quick, our very special guest will be on here in about 7 or 8 minutes. And these are the topics that we're going to run through tonight that we're going to try and get to. We have more video clips than we've ever had before.
But we're going to use them all.
And I'm trying to jam them all in. There's so many of them. Everything from Trump, small clips. I mean, they're like minute-long clips from Trump's State of the Union address to Whitaker to Ocasio-Cortez. There's a clip of Ocasio-Cortez that's like 4 minutes long that has to be listened to. You will freak out. You will lose your mind.
Okay.
Because what I said a few weeks ago looks like it may eventually come true. Donald Trump may convince this girl that she is on the wrong team. On the wrong team. That she,
a lot of people have been saying that.
The words that come out of her mouth, you'll be shocked.
Well, she's a very smart person. I know people are going to listen to me hear me say that and say, I'm turning it off right now.
No.
Because there's so many memes out there that are calling her stupid based on purposely fake quotes. They're basically dumb blonde jokes.
Right.
In fact, one person joked that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I gotta say that like 1,000 times to get it down. But anyway, that she ruined or ended the blonde jokes. Yeah. So, but the problem is it's based on fake quotes. It's funny, ha ha ha, but it's causing people to think that she's legitimately stupid. When it turns out, what makes her seem so stupid is an old quote from Ronald Reagan, who said that it's not that the liberals don't know. I don't have the quote in front of me, but it's that they think they gosh, I'm going to look that quote up real quick.
All right, while you do that, here's some of the things that we're going to run down in the conversation we're going to be talking about today.
Somebody will write it down for me.
Obviously, the Trump State of the Union address, we're going to hit that. We're also going to hit the new women. Talk about the new women in Congress, and that's where we bring up AOC. And the clip will I promise you, folks, stay with me. Clip is going to shock you. Abortion is still in the news and for various reasons, and we're going to have our young Gen Z.
Okay, while everybody's fresh in their mind, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's that they know so much that isn't so. She is the quintessential product of all these professors who have perfected the art of indoctrination into the Communist Party in academia, and she's a product of that. So she's going out there, a very intelligent person. I think she's probably brilliant, and she's been her whole life been fed these fake communist stories of utopia that one day we'll have, based on nothing more than the academics telling her that if we can only get there, that's when the world will truly be good. And so she's just out there spewing stuff that those who know better are like, what is this woman, an idiot?
And you got to also look at her upbringing. I promise you, her parents are liberals. There's no question about when you
indoctrinate. They didn't steer her the right way.
Right. When you indoctrinate your child, and if you are her parents and you're listening to this show and you're
her dad, I think her dad died because she brought that up in a tweet this week too.
Okay. See, I didn't know. Why are you trying to make me feel bad?
Well, I don't want you to keep going on and on.
About her dad?
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, her mom, if you're listening, Ma, and you're saying, I couldn't do anything with her.
Her mom might be dead too. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But I do know she did tweet out something. She tried to do the pull the heartstrings, woe was me. Okay. I grew up in a tough circumstance because of the death of her dad. So.
Right. Okay, cool. So we're definitely going to talk about abortion and the new book that our special guest has written about abortion. I did put if you're listening to audio only or you're on YouTube or wherever you're at, I did put the link to the Amazon book in the show notes. It's at the top of the show notes. The book is called I Can Hear You, The Story of a Not Yet Born Human Being by MahgdalenRose.
Oh, cool.
She says it's very, very delicate and very light in the sense that a child, you can read it to your children.
Oh, good.
But it gives the perspective from the baby that can hear the mom and dad talk about or not the mom and dad, but like whatever, the mother talking to whoever about having an abortion.
Wow. And so it's something that is, you're saying that it's okay to present this to your child.
And it's very, very thin, very quick read, 45 pages, something that could I mean, my daughter at 11 could read it.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I'm really excited about that. Nancy Pelosi screaming no money for the border wall. There's less than 7 days to the government shutdown 2.0. This time, it will be on the Democrats. We'll get into that.
Okay.
Racism, blackface, still making its rounds. We got some more people coming out blackfaced.
Virginia, from Virginia.
But you don't hear Jimmy Fallon or what's the other one? Jimmy Fallon and
James Corden. Oh, you're talking about Seth.
No. The late night talk show.
Yeah, Seth. Seth something. Somebody help me out there.
The comedy guys.
Yes, Seth.
He did blackface?
Oh, you're talking about
Jimmy Fallon did blackface.
The guy from the Man Show.
Yeah, that guy from the Man.
Carl Malone.
I'm Carl Malone.
Look
at me, I'm Carl Malone.
Yeah, what was his name? Whatever his name is, the Man Show guy.
Spygate, Russia, still hot and heavy, and that also blends the lines with this. The whole Whitaker testimony this week. It was, folks, if you didn't see the Whitaker testimony this week, don't worry about it. We've got the clips.
Good.
It was nothing more than just a SHI show.
But since he wasn't, it was just a show, so he wasn't really bound to anything. So he made a big joke about it, which is great because they deserve that.
Right. No, 100%. So I took one of the Democrat senators asking him questions, and I cut it up to where it's all just the questions back to back to back to back, and the same question over and over again. Were you violated? Did somebody attack you? Did they call you to attack you? Are you being attacked?
Show us on this doll where they hurt you.
Yes. Yes. It's too good, folks. Too good. We'll have that. And then the Democrat 2020 hopeless. Not the
hopeful.
The hopefuls.
Not the hopeful, the hopeless.
The hopeless.
Okay.
And the new Green Deal, we'll get to that.
It's called the New Green Steel. That's the new hashtag.
Oh.
Yes, the New Green Steel. It's where they rob all American workers, and you are going to be broke.
And we will constantly, I want to keep hammering this home. I did a scope about it. And I got a lot of great feedback. And I'll tell you what, folks, you're going to kill me for this, and I apologize. I can't find my notes on the thing I did.
What did you do?
On gaslighting.
Oh.
Somebody wrote a lady wrote a book, 11 things about to know if you're being gaslit or gaslighting.
I think we read that on an episode a long time ago.
Well, I revisited it, and I wanted to go back over it again because a lot of people, you hear the word gaslighting. There's a movie, 1944, called Gaslight, where a guy actually convinces his wife that she's gone nuts and she's crazy. And what it is all about is it's all about control and
11
power.
warning signs of gaslighting. I think this is it. So there you go.
That might.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee you this is it.
So for those of you, I told you I'd post the article on the website. I didn't because I lost it.
Oh, well, we got it.
But we got it now.
All you had to do was just mention it. I find this stuff quick.
Okay.
I'm like Mr. Producer on the fly.
So we're definitely going to keep reiterating when we see something coming up or something that comes up, we're definitely going to remind you this is gaslighting right here.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning the entire thing with Tucker Carlson and the interview with Ocasio-Cortez's handler. No, we didn't say that.
Puppet Master.
Yeah, no, we didn't say that. It's not on our website.
Okay. All right.
It come to find out it was. So we'll get into that. They do it on purpose. If they get caught, they blame you for it and that you're losing your mind, that it's not real.
Well, and I think the cool thing about learning about gaslighting is that intuitively you think that it would never work. If somebody were to just tell you, I think there's a phenomenon, and you describe what we call today gaslighting, I think most people would say, nah, that doesn't really work, does it? But since it's now, they made a movie about it, which is where the term gaslighting comes from, and we know it works, and it's actually a tried and true go-to tool.
Read the first couple lines of that article.
Down here, up here.
Yep, down there.
So gaslighting is a tactic which a person or entity, in order to gain more power, makes a victim question their reality. It works much better than you think. That's very true. Anyone is susceptible to gaslighting, and it is a common technique of abusers, dictators, narcissists, and cult leaders. It's done slowly so the victim doesn't realize how much they've been brainwashed. See, that's another thing. After you get into about your mid-20s, you start to doubt the whole idea of what we call brainwashing. You're like, it's just nobody gets brainwashed. I mean, you could educate somebody or you can trick somebody, but brainwashing is thought of when you're introduced to it for the first time is like you're programming someone, like hypnotizing somebody.
Right.
But imagine it being permanent or extremely hard to reverse. But in reality, now that we're older and we observe two different populations of people who wholeheartedly believe things that are mutually exclusive, that meaning one has to be false and one has to be true, or vice versa, and that they can't both be true, that's when you start to realize people have got to be brainwashed.
Yeah, when you have gray areas, then that's where you can be wishy-washy.
Yeah, sure.
But nowadays, it doesn't feel like there's no gray area.
Oh, yeah, and that's another thing, too. Gray area? Gray area is what young people who lack a lot of real-world experience their brain has to resort to a placeholder because it's a gap in their knowledge, just because of lack of experience.
Right.
And they call that gray area. As you get older, the gray areas shrink, and then you come to a point, when you get to a certain point in your life, when you have a certain amount of wisdom, where you realize, I don't know if there's hardly like any gray area, very little gray area. You can almost explain away anything that other people who don't know any better would call gray areas. So it's interesting.
Right. And so as we go through this journey together, we will expose the lefts for what they're trying to do, they're attempting to do, the gaslighting, in the sense – oh, that's what I was going to say. There's a guy that I've listened to many times. He says he's been
George Norrie.
He says he's been on the radio for over 50 years.
Oh, definitely George Norrie then.
Roy Masters.
Oh, okay.
He's so good. He's got a 3-letter website.
Oh, that's pretty good.
FHU.
Oh, FHU. You don't even know. It must be horrible because you don't even remember what it.
Well, I don't know if it's human. It has to do with human understanding. For human understanding, or foundation of human understanding.
Okay.
And he talks about, he's really old now, he's in his 90s, and he talks about how when he was young in his 20s and 30s, he learned to be a hypnotist.
Okay.
And he's a devout Christian, and he thought that he was going to fix the world. He's going to fix people by hypnotizing people. And he talks about the dangers. He talks about the dangers of gaslighting. He talks about all these things, and he refers to what some people say, the devil or the sin. He refers to that as the dark side.
Okay.
Which I think is really good because you want to stay from what, if you're doing something bad or you know it's bad, you feel like you want to hide in the dark. So it's kind of like the dark side.
So you don't go to the dark side because you want to do bad. You end up in the dark side because you don't want people to look at you. You want to crawl up in the corner of the shower and cry.
Right, so stay out of the dark side. Okay. And he talks about sins lost, dating all the way back to Adam and Eve. And for those of you who are delicate when it comes to women and female behaviors, and you don't want to listen to somebody talk about, he could be a little tough on women.
Oh, okay. He's a misogynist.
No. He says, like if a woman is doing something to manipulate a man, he's like, she's got the Eve in her.
Oh,
she's got the Eve.
I could see how that could trigger certain people. I could see that.
Like my wife won't listen to it. Oh. Anyways, on that note, we have the beautiful and incredible MahgdalenRose, our special guest. Magdalene, welcome to Smith Radio. How the heck are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. I was just telling the folks about your new book and I don't have my notes. So.
I can hear you. The story of a not yet born human being by MahgdalenRose.
And so I wanted to promote that. I wanted to bring that up. I saw it on Amazon, and for those of you listening, you can go down in the show notes. It's at the top, almost at the top of the show notes, the link for the Amazon to get the book. Inexpensive? Great.
Yes, it's.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's only $14.
Awesome. He said it was short and something that you could actually, because abortion's like, it's one of them topics that it's very important and everybody should know everything about it. But then it's like one of them things where you're like, I got a 10-year-old daughter or son or whatever. Is it okay for children?
Yes, it's definitely okay for children. It has it has pictures in it. It's not a gory book. It's definitely something that can be read to middle schoolers, maybe even the end of elementary school. And I think as long as there's somebody there who can explain why this story is important, it's certainly available for young kids as well.
I'm going to definitely get that. I have a 12-year-old daughter. So I'm getting it, period.
Yeah, we go back and forth because I have a 9-year-old, soon to be 10, and 11-year-old daughter, and we have these discussions about how we're going to break the bro code. We're going to tell our daughters what they need to know.
Yeah.
So they can navigate the waters.
You got to do that.
And I tell them, I said, the most important decision in your life, and the control is in your hands, most important decision is in your life, is the man that you pick to marry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's the most important decision in their life, for sure. So what's going on, Magdalene?
Oh, well, I wrote this book, and I started writing it about a year ago. And that's been a project I've been working on in between videos and things. And the reason I wrote it was because my mother had me when she was older, and I'm an only child. And she got a lot of pressure from her doctors, from her friends and family, not to have me because I might have Down syndrome or other defects like that. So I'm very conscious that, like, if she hadn't made those decisions, I wouldn't be here. So I wanted to give a voice to those babies in that process.
Wow. It's
Holy
crazy.
smoke. I'm emotional, you just talking about that. Wow. Because of how intelligent you are, how articulate you are, the videos that you put down, just incredible. I love all your work.
Yeah, I mean, if abortion has been around for, let's say a couple hundred years, maybe Mozart would have been aborted. Maybe Einstein would have been aborted. It's just, we shouldn't be playing God.
Right. And I've told my story before, but just real quickly, a biological mother was 14 years old when she got pregnant. She gave birth at 15 in June of 1973. I'm not sure when SCOTUS had ruled.
73?
Yeah, it was 73, but I don't know at what point in the year in 73. But certainly that was something that was a hot-button topic and was talked about, and she could have gotten an abortion. And you're like, what, Brian? But in 1973, they ruled, no. It was legal in a lot of places already. It was up to the states.
It was like a state thing, yeah.
Right, and so just like the what I refer to as garage, man and woman combined getting together, they were doing that out in California and Colorado, and then Supreme Court said, okay, everywhere have to recognize it, and that's 1973 Roe versus Wade, where the Supreme Court said it must be everywhere and legal. So that's my little piece. So you wrote the book, and can you tell us about the book? Kind of walk us through it. Tell us how it kind of goes.
Yes. So it starts with a man and woman, and it's the modern day setting. And they're in their apartment, and she's found out she's pregnant. And it sort of begins the discussion. And what's interesting is it talks about how, like, the man doesn't think he can say anything. Like, he doesn't think he can render his opinion other than it's your body, it's your choice. And it's her process of going to the abortion clinic and talking with other members of her family who are not pro-choice and having that discussion and eventually coming to a decision. But it puts a spotlight on the fact that even though she's with this man and they're together, he doesn't feel like he has the right to say what his real opinion is or even to render an opinion other than I just support you.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, apparently you've been listening to Smith Radio, and that's what you got it from. No, I just because that's both. Yeah. That's both. We're Gen X, and that is absolutely how we were raised. Not necessarily by my parents, but by society in general. We were raised as men. You better shut your mouth, boy.
It's not your body. And that was my original opinion on it. If it was ever brought up to me and asked my opinion, I'd be like, I'm not a woman, so I leave that to them. But I think more responsibility should be put on the man because it takes a man and a woman to make a baby.
Correct.
So definitely we're going to get that book. Everybody listening needs to get that book. I Can Hear You, The Story of a Not Yet Born Human Being by MahgdalenRose. I wanted to switch over to the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So you had a scope this week that I thought was very well done. Good journalism there because you're bringing up facts and connections that I haven't heard anywhere else. And that's why I reached out to Brian and said, Brian, you need to reach out to Magdalene and have her on the show because so what is this thing that you know about Ms. Cortez that nobody else does?
Right. So I had been very frustrated watching Ocasio-Cortez, not because of the crazy crap she's saying, but because I feel like conservatives always think she's a genius because of social media.
And I actually pointed out her brilliance earlier in the show, so you got to tell me where I'm going wrong.
I will. And I started looking at all the articles written about her, and a lot of it was just, how she came from being a bartender. But there were several articles that discussed her chief of staff, and I knew she had a chief of staff. I'd never heard of his name before, and his name is Sakit Chakrabarti. And in several of the articles,
Sakit Chakrabarti. It's Saikat is how you spell the first name.
Chakrabarti.
Chakrabarti.
I don't even want to spell that second name.
Chakrabarti.
It's like 25 letters in her.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And this dude was, he's young. I believe he's 28, and he's had a whole background in tech. He was an intern at Apple. He went to Harvard computer school, and he's had all of these jobs that on their own don't look that interesting. But when you stack up all of these major tech jobs, and then you put in the fact that he was in charge of Bernie Sanders' technology for his campaign, it's very hard to believe that she's actually in charge of her social media when this was one of the people that ran Bernie Sanders' social media and got him several campaign wins. So what's interesting is he is part of a group of people who, after Bernie's campaign was over, went off and created other organizations to find suitable candidates in winnable districts. And he found her not by what she's been telling, which is that she saw these problems and she wanted to rise up and win, but because her brother nominated her for this position, like families nominate girls for The Bachelor. And after that, this Sakit guy went and met with her and said to her, you really have to leave bartending. You have a good shot at this. This is a vulnerable district, and had to convince her to do this. So from me, like when I look at her now, I no longer see this like massive threat. I mean, I do in the way she could rile people up, but this is not a person who ever sought this out. This is not a person who is capable in this job. And I think the fact that Sakit wrote the Green New Deal, this was something he talked about in 2016 in Bernie Sanders' campaign. It really proves not only has she brought no ideas to the table, the ideas she's peddling are not hers. They're his and what Bernie Sanders were originally within his campaign in 2016.
That's amazing you say that. I'm not sure if you saw the clip, and I'll play it for you guys later on in the show, but I've got a clip of her speaking to members of Congress or representatives. And she said, let's play a game.
I
I
saw that.
Yeah. And she said, if I want to be the most evil, rottenest person, and she's going through this whole story in the scenario, and she's naming the individuals that she's in front of by name. She's saying their names correctly, which is some of them are very difficult to say.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Abazio. And she's staying on track, and she's got her notes there. And it was a well-rehearsed high school or college speech.
She seems like a good performer.
That is what it is. And one of the people who Sakit brought on, his name is Corbin Trent. He was in the Bernie Sanders world. He didn't have a specific position, but he was within the inner campaign team. He and Sakit formed Justice Democrats in Brand New Congress. And once she won, he became her spokesperson. So he has been the one writing a lot of these speeches. He's been the one putting together her floor speeches and things like that. And, Ocasio-Cortez, I think it's, to me, I mean, as a young person in politics, it's kind of sad because she is not this ideologue. Bernie Sanders, whether you like him or not, is a big deal. I don't think she personally is very powerful, and her entire life is now about this because Sakit and Corbin Trent and Bernie Sanders decided she would be a good mouthpiece.
Something else that kind of triggered me and made me think, I've got this theory that I've espoused it on the show many times before, but it's that you didn't earn it and you won, and your reaction. Like in Hollywood, when they win the award, it's just,
you like me. You really, really like me.
And I reference a guy from years and years and years ago that got a job working for a machine shop that I was at, and he was clearly not qualified and wound up getting fired. And totally lied about what his capabilities were, but he had told us as soon as he was hired, shortly after, that he was so emotional, and he actually broke down in tears and cried, and how this job, I don't need any overtime. I could live at this pay for the rest of my life. And it was on, and I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, what are you talking about? When they hired me on, I questioned whether I wanted to accept it or not. And so it's that whole you earned it, didn't earn it, but you won. When Ocasio-Cortez won, that falls in line with my theory and falls in line with what you're saying.
Yeah.
That she's not qualified, and she was jumping up and down for joy and screaming like a lottery winner.
So she's the face of this campaign.
Right. One other thing, real quick. The lottery winner aspect, she started complaining she couldn't get an apartment. She now no longer says anything about money because she's resting on a $3,750 paycheck a week. She didn't realize, she didn't even know how much money she was going to get.
Because no one told her, because Pete and Corbin Trent didn't tell her.
Right.
Wow. So you're this actually meshes with the theory that once she starts to realize more and think more for herself, that she may end up being an ally of Trump. This is a pretty out there. Yeah, and I've heard it from several people. I mean, it sounds like something that's going on around there. What are your thoughts of the possibility of her ending up being an ally?
Well, I've heard when I was researching this, and this wasn't in the Periscope, but there's a lot of people who went to college with her who said, this was a woman who's a fan of William F. Buckley, who thought capitalism was great. There are papers she's written about this. So, I mean, I think, I know of William F. Buckley. I think every conservative knows of William F. Buckley, and she talked about how great it was that he was from New York because she had a connection to New York. So I don't know if she'll be an ally for Trump, but I think Democrats are severely overestimating her loyalty to them. The fact that she's already in a position where she's like, to hell with you, and she's going to primary people out. Why would she stick with this party and with these group of people who have not only destroyed her life, but are not the opinion she genuinely held in college?
That's interesting. It's almost like, why do you support a new green steel?
Right.
The new green steel that basically just goes ahead and implements communism in America if it were binding. It's a non-binding resolution, but if it were binding, it would be okay. We now live in a communist country.
All right, so let me let me show you who I was when I was 26. Just a little bit, not a whole lot of bit. All right, honey, I won't do too much.
You could have been a representative in the House.
Ocasio-Cortez, it was tweeted out by John Lefevre. AOC has a 430 credit score, 2 evictions, and an empty resume. Just 2 months ago, she couldn't afford an apartment in D.C. Now, the Democrat leadership has put her on financial committee services, and the media is saying that her Green New Deal will reshape the economy. Okay, now, like you said, when I was 26, if somebody met up with me at 26, because I fit that bill back then.
Probably, yeah.
This is after 27 is when I went to college after I got out of the Air Force. So 27 in college, yeah. But I loved capitalism and I wanted my own business. And tell you the truth, I really absolutely admired Donald Trump back then.
Oh, I think everybody did.
And I always said to myself, man, if I could find my biological father, imagine that being Trump. I'm just saying, right? But if they'd have found me, because I was outspoken, I had no fear, I could speak in front of people, no problem whatsoever, and they offered me $37.50 a week, where do I sign?
Well, and then that brings me to a question. Then why would he, the man you said was her? I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Her campaign guy, Sakit.
Yeah.
Why did he choose her? What's the connection here?
Yeah.
Well, he chose her because her brother had, sent in a resume for her, and she was in a district that is not majority white, and Crowley was the representative. And I think he thought, this is an educated woman. You can sort of spin her into this rags to riches story, even though it isn't true. And it's a district that's winnable. But I think more than that, I think he saw someone that was very controllable. I mean, when you look at how she is on NPR, I watch a lot of her interviews, and for a while I was like, it's not possible that this woman has this level of interviewing and debating skill and came to this decision to run on her own, because it doesn't match up. If you look at her interviews, you see that she really doesn't know what she's talking about until someone gives her notes. And what's interesting is all those famous pictures of her, where she's waving her hands and everything, if you look just behind her, he's in all of the famous pictures.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Who has promoted those pictures. He controls everything. So if the Republican Party and the conservative movement are going to really go after her, you have to go after Sakit too. Sakit is the author of this disastrous new Green Deal.
Yeah, that sounds like something way too ambitious for somebody like her, even though it was riddled with mistakes that we'll probably talk about a little later.
Yes.
The mistakes that she had to delete off of the website and then try to blame Mark Dice and Jack Posobiec on.
Who was the guy that was on – I forget his name. Who was the guy?
Her policy guy, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's him. He was on Tucker's show.
Yeah, and we have video of that later.
He was talking about. He had no idea what was going on.
I know.
And he's like, no, that wasn't in the document. But if you look at the PDF file that was screen grabbed from her office, Sakit is the author. So she's a laughingstock across the country because her own chief of staff is not protecting her.
Well, and I'll tell you who is protecting her. Look, I've been around for a while. I remember the Sarah Palin stuff where all of a sudden she's like, I don't really read any newspapers. And boom, her entire life has exploded, never to recover from.
Well,
and
she could see Russia from her house.
Yeah, she didn't even say that. That was a Saturday Night. So she has the whole world constantly trying to destroy her. And then in a way, and I think that Trump enjoyed a lot of this himself, but AOC seems to everything she says or does or touches turns to gold because she has the media, she has Saturday Night Live, she has Hollywood and all that.
Texas sharpshooter.
Yeah, covering for everything. She says something, and they'll say, oh, it's really not that important. Or, oh, that's great that she said that, even though we're like, no, it's not. And Trump enjoyed that. Trump would say something that was kind of funny or off the wall, and they would try to attack him for it, and then millions of people would descend on whoever's trying to bust him for saying whatever he said, to either attack them or defend what he said, which worked. And it's working for her. And so that's what a lot of people who take her seriously are worried about, that as long as she has the people in place to defend every single thing she says and does, she's got the Midas touch at this point. So
I don't know if she does, though, because I look at a lot of the media that talks about her. And aside from like the real like low ball liberal people like Maddow, it's not super positive coverage. They treat her as if she's, espousing like a promise of a new future. But I think mainstream media has a serious attachment to Obama and Hillary and the positions they had. I think that the more she attacks those people, or even the people who support those people, that protection is going to start to degrade. The conservative protection for Trump in media will never really degrade because the people he supports support him back and forth. But I think the more she goes after her own, and she has to, because to keep injustice Democrats put her in place to do that, it's going to start to degrade, and she's not going to have as much protection.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, the differences in the way that she's covered. This morning on Meet the Press, they said that there is a civil war going on in the Democrat Party between the one group of Democrats, which we'll call the old school Democrats, not that old, but where they want to implement communism incrementally, slowly, one little piece at a time until you're there, versus this new crop of freshmen,
rip the Band-Aid off, man. Let's get this thing going.
Well, and that's what the new Green Deal is, showing the Leninade.
Have yourself some lemonade.
Leninade, as in Vladimir Lenin. So this new group of Democrats, like your AOCs, who want to just do it with one giant piece of legislation. Boom. Why are we doing this incrementally? We'll just do it all at once. Big new green steel. End of story. Communist states of America is what they're trying. So do you agree with that assessment from Meet the Press? Meet the Press.
I think there's definitely a civil war going in the Democrat Party. The thing, though, is these alt-lefters are not of the mental capabilities the people in the 60s were. They have this horrible injection of identity politics, and it's diluted their ability to lead with the economics of socialism. Bernie didn't have this in the beginning, which is why he caught so many people. I think that the old school Democrats might win this, but I don't think these people are going to go along if they win it. So when you get to 2020, even if they can get a more like regular character like Joe Biden through the nomination, these hard lefters are not going to support him, and it's going to cost them that. So I think the old school Democrats might have to reevaluate what actually winning looks like to them.
My thought, I like that. My thought earlier this week, I did a scope on gaslighting and control and mind control and things like that. And I honestly believe that this fracturing of the Democrat Party from the old school and the new school is their own undoing. It's their own fault. Yeah. They've gaslit an entire generation that's now saying to the old people hey, you told us you were going to do all. Well, we're going to take power.
You said communism was going to give us the utopia. So why aren't we doing it?
So why aren't you doing it yet? Come on.
Right.
They also told them all that, climate change was the number one issue. And so why wouldn't you, if you believe that, work to fix it? If I genuinely believed the earth was going to end in 12 years, I'd be out there. I'd be like, no, this has to happen. This has to happen.
You would stop it. You would put everything on the back burner.
Everything. But older Democrats know it's a lie, and younger Democrats don't.
No, because they've been gaslit. They've been tricked into believing from everything from the plastic bags at the grocery store to a 6-pack of plastic can holders, and the fish get caught in them, and all this.
They said there's a Texas-size island of garbage in the Pacific.
Which is not true. It's just not even true.
Yeah.
We even talked about, did we just talk, you and me, or did we talk about this on the show?
About?
Dumping everything in the ocean.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
just take it to that big chasm, that thing that goes down.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it on the show, but 70% of the Earth's surface is water, and that doesn't include the depth of the water. Only 30% of Earth is the surface, and how much of that is landfill? Very, very little.
Fractions.
People that live in the city are they have an ego problem. They think the whole world is the city. They haven't ventured out into the country. They don't realize
from
that.
The city. That's true.
Right, especially Los Angeles. Huge problem in Los Angeles because it's all city out there for hours and hours and hours. It takes you hours to get out of the city. My wife's people she knows. I just leave it at that. They believed that there was nothing else, and then all of a sudden they travel out to Arizona, and there's like nothing but land.
Yeah, you could see for 100 miles all the way.
There's nothing.
Yeah, exactly, and not see anything. Like at night, you don't even see a light on a building or anything. So. People don't realize that if grown up their entire lives in the city that we have a lot of area. We have a lot of area. So anyway, we had that discussion last week in private. So for you guys listening at home, we talk about that kind of stuff
all the time, man. All the time.
Awesome. So what should we do? So we should be paying attention to what AOC's handlers are doing. What she's saying might not be coming from her own mind. It's almost like she's a Manchurian candidate type of person.
I would say Manchurian candidate for sure.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, we have to pay attention to what Sakit is saying, to what Corbin Trent, her spokesperson, is saying. And one group that is involved in the Netroots thing and everything is Justice Democrats. If we want to avoid having old school Democrats who are just never going to get anywhere, primaried out and replaced with these dynamic people, we have to pay attention to who Justice Democrats is backing. They backed the two women in Minnesota, one woman in Minnesota and one woman in Michigan. They've been backing these far-left candidates that are sneaking through. We have to put a spotlight on Justice Democrats. And, for me, like some of the conservatives, not you guys, but other conservatives who are like really, really focused on them, sometimes they make it sound like, she's going to be president. This is not a woman who can be president. Just because Trump beat the odds and everything doesn't mean everybody can. So take some of that fear away and focus on who's behind her, because she's not her own promoter. She's a dynamic person. I think she's nice to be around. I think she makes people feel comfortable, but this is not her ability. These are not her ideas. They're just Bernie's ideas recycled.
I agree with you 100%, and I think that they have always banked on and found out that they could win with a Bill Clinton, and then found out they could win with even a worse candidate with less ability with Barack Obama. That was a phenom. Total phenom.
And it was cookie cutter if you think about how they had him speak at the 2004 convention.
Yes.
And then he was already senator at that point? At some point.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so they made him become senator. They cookie cuttered him right into a spot where he couldn't lose. He was going to win. All they had to do was put him in the spot. They made him give this crazy, awesome speech where everybody's cheering and yelling. Primetime is like keynote speaker at the convention in 2004, and then just ramrodded him straight into, and then got the Clintons out of the way in order to get him in there.
Right, and they destroyed Bush and everything about the Republican Party, and they were absolutely spineless for 5 years, which made us mad. A lot of people walked away back then, but Barack Obama, his Senate seat was held by an incumbent Democrat. They approached him with a Manila envelope.
Tongue twisted there.
And
yellow envelope.
And pulled the picture. Folks, this is no lie. They showed him the things that they were going to expose about this guy that was sitting senator, and he agreed to take the duffel bag. He was incumbent, and he walked away.
So that
Barack Obama just walked into the seat.
There must have been a massive duffel bag for that. Like, we need you out of the way. We need you out of the way. Right. So yeah, it's all fake. There's nothing grassroots about this, and I wonder, if the AOC situation is like that, but there was a real primary, and he really did lose. He did act like he was going to win it. It seemed kind of an upset, kind of surprised that she won it.
It was like Dave Bratt. I think it was like Dave Bratt.
And when you're running up and down the street, she's got a lot of energy. Folks, I'm going to probably say some things that might make some people upset, but she's got a lot of energy, and she's cute. I'm sorry.
People that make fun of her looks, it's going down the wrong road.
I think she's cute. I think she's a cute young lady that is...
There's a lot of people making fun of her looks, and it's a really dumb thing. Yeah, really dumb thing.
And so, but the whole phenom with Obama, that I don't think you can recreate that because that was decades in the making.
You can't recreate it. And Obama learned one very important lesson when he ran for office before. He learned that he couldn't be a mainstream person. He couldn't disavow people like Farrakhan, which is why he lost his original seat. And so when those pictures came out with him, he had that speech on race. You can't recreate somebody who's willing to do that, who's willing to lay it all on the line at a time when, it wasn't 2019. It wasn't a very polarized country. So she's not Obama. Cory Booker is not Obama. Stop viewing them as that.
Terrible.
And they're just normal Democrats who have really shady people behind the scenes working for them.
Yeah, and Cory seems like a real fake person. So
even when he speaks, and don't get me wrong.
Obama, we talked about it last episode.
Obama had his charisma of sorts, and they sold him. They sold it well, and like I said, we've got to be on guard to make sure that never happens again. But something like that, it's like Trump. Trump will never happen again.
Yes, I have to tell people.
You better enjoy the next 6 years. Embrace every single day.
It's not going to happen again. Trump was 30 years in the making. If there's somebody that's 20 years in the making right now, we could have another Trump, but I just don't see it. So, MahgdalenRose, whatever you did to figure out what AOC, what was going on with her, keep doing it because I haven't heard that anywhere else. So as far as I'm concerned, that's real citizen journalism right there, and that's awesome.
And just to give you a heads up, we're looking at changing the format of the show and attempting to do a daily, like a 1 hour daily show coming up, and we would certainly love to have you on as a regular with
So
absolutely.
So it doesn't have to just be on Sunday, right?
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Right.
And get folks the link in the description, get the new book.
Yep. And also follow her. The description of our show actually has her Twitter handle in it. So go ahead and click on that and follow her if you don't already. Put her on notifications because she's coming out with original journalistic content.
Right.
I have one that's coming out soon too, so you're going to really like that.
Oh, man, you're going to have to give us an exclusive. All right. Thank you so much, Magdalene.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Awesome interview. Man, we love having her on.
I do, yeah.
She is. That's great. I wanted to have her on because that was original content. I mean, nobody else is digging into real things when it comes to when I say real things, I mean digging in deeper than just listening to her say things publicly, whether it's somebody stuck a microphone in her face or they saw her give an interview on Meet the Press or wherever she is. People are just commenting on the things that she's saying, but Magdalene has dug in a little deeper there, and we hope that she continues to do that. Sounds like she's going to come out with something very soon.
Oh, I'm excited.
I'll let you know about that.
Very excited. I'm trying to find the clip of clips.
Go ahead and play that if you have the AOC one.
Yeah,
we have to come up with a new system here where we can, where you can very quickly say that's the clip I want.
Well, I knew it was the one I want. It was the last one I downloaded.
Yeah,
and I hadn't brought it up to the screen yet.
Oh, okay.
But that doesn't normally happen. Okay, so granted, this 5 minutes long, folks. You gotta listen to this after talking about Ocasio-Cortez.
Mm-hmm.
And just now interviewing MahgdalenRose, giving you a background on who this woman is. You've got to listen to her and how she goes at these representatives. It blew my mind. It'll blow your mind too. Here we go.
Thank you, Chair. So let's play a game. Let's play a lightning round game. I'm going to be the bad guy, which I'm sure half the room would agree with anyway. And I want to get away with as much bad things as possible, ideally to enrich myself.
How many times are we allowed to
my
stop
interest, even if that means putting my interests ahead of the American people. So, Mrs. Hobart Flynn. Oh, and by the way, I have enlisted all of you as my co-conspirators.
All right, stop it real quick. So she's starting off with a premise, and it's important for you guys to understand this and always recognize this. Whenever I listen to things politically, I'm always looking for where is the fallacy? Where's the logical fallacy or whatever? How does this not mesh with real life? And she's creating this situation where somebody is going into office with the most evil intentions in mind, and there's taking extremes. There's actually a fallacy for taking extremes, but also you could consider it a false premise or a straw man. But so she's making up this make believe situation where somebody actually gets elected, and then once they're there, they go, "Whoop! You guys got tricked. You didn't know that I was here to do the worst possible thing." So
when she's saying it's her.
Well, I mean, she's just saying.
Let's make believe it's me.
You know what she's doing? She's doing the molecule thing. When we were learning about jet engines, me in the Marine Corps, I was a jet engine mechanic. Brian was in the Air Force. They would say, if you're a molecule of air and you're entering into the intake of a jet engine, walk me through all the things that you go through. You know, the compressor stages and all this kind of stuff. She's doing that. She's doing the molecule of air, or sometimes they'll do the molecule of fuel. We're going to go through the fuel system, so they do the molecule of fuel through the fuel system. She's doing that with legislation right now, which is very brilliant, very brilliantly done. But she's also taking extremes. So go ahead.
So you're going to help me legally get away with all of this. So, Mrs. Hobart
That's
Flynn,
premise number 2.
I want to run. If I want to run a campaign that is entirely funded by corporate political action committees, is there anything that legally prevents me from doing that?
No.
Okay. So there's nothing stopping me from being entirely funded by corporate PACs, say from the fossil fuel industry, the healthcare industry, big pharma. I'm entirely 100% lobbyist PAC funded. Okay. So let's say I'm a really, really bad guy.
Okay, she's taking that far extreme, which is fine. She can do that, but she's ignoring.
You got to get elected, and by being a really, really bad guy...
You could be a method actor.
Could be. So she's a really bad guy.
I mean, John Cusack could run for Congress.
Is he that bad?
Oh, he's got me blocked.
Oh!
He's blocked me. Yeah.
Okay.
But so the premise is that she's really, really bad, and also she needs everybody on this panel that she's questioning to be a co-conspirator. So you can't have any whistleblowers.
No.
No whistleblowers.
Everybody's working.
So already we're dealing with a very unlikely situation.
The hypothetical is... Oh.
It's like...
Hold on. The hypothetical is Barack Obama.
You know what she's... Yeah. Okay. Imagine... Tell me if you see the problem with this. If you said, okay, Brian, is there anything stopping you from making a giant bomb? I mean, something so big that you need a large... Okay, let's say you had unlimited funds. Money was no object.
Okay.
I'm talking about a bomb that you can carry on your persons, but it's very, very large. You need a pretty big backpack, real tough strap. You might even have to work out to carry this thing. Very powerful. Anything stop me from making that?
No.
So, if I enlist all of the security at the
White
no, not the White House.
Okay.
Let's do something simpler. At Paul Brown Stadium, where the Bengals play.
Oh, yeah.
And you got everybody in this particular area to go along with letting you in that building. Is there anything stopping them if they want you to get in the building with a backpack, with a bomb in it, and they want you, they're okay with letting you through. They know you have a bomb. They want you through. Is there anything stopping them from letting you through if they're all in on it with you?
No.
Okay. Let's continue. That's what she's doing.
Or you could even
Come on.
And you could go, since she's talking about money, you could talk about a bank, enlisting all the security officers at the bank.
If the teller is, I'm a really bad guy. I'm a really bad guy. And I'm going to enlist you as my co-conspirators, all you guys at the bank.
Right.
Of course you're going to get away with all the money.
But how often does that happen?
Already we're dealing with a virtually impossible situation.
Okay.
And let's say I have some skeletons in my closet that I need to cover up so that I can get elected. Mr. Smith, is it true that you wrote this article, this opinion piece for the Washington Post entitled, "These payments to women were unseemly, that doesn't mean they were illegal"?
Okay, now she's introducing into her fictitious story factual documents.
They are factual documents, but also she's pointing out more co-conspirators. So she's saying that this guy created a hit piece to cover for somebody.
Right,
so.
right.
Well, I can't see the piece, but I wrote a piece under that headline in the Post, so I assume that's right.
Okay, great. So, green light for hush money. I can do all sorts of terrible things. It's totally legal right now for me to pay people off. And that is considered speech. That money is considered speech. So I use my special interest dark money funded campaign to pay off folks that I need to pay off and get elected. So now I'm elected, now I'm in. I've got the power to draft, lobby, and shape the laws that govern the United States of America.
She's reading this off, folks.
Interesting.
She's doing a good job at it.
She's a very good reader, and I think it'll serve her well, just as Magdalene says, as long as she's able to perform it.
Right.
She'll do well.
Fabulous. Now, is there any hard limit that I have? Perhaps Mrs. Hobart.
She uses some words in there that I've just got to. She says any hard limit.
What's a soft limit?
Well, not only that, but that sounds like a politician speak in a sense that this was written for her by people who know how to speak the language. She doesn't know how to speak like this. That's not bartender talk.
Well, if
hard limit,
but in her defense,
hard
Brian,
liquor.
Oh gosh! No, in her defense, I've seen her give like.
Is there any hard?
Sorry.
Any off the cuff interviews without papers in front of her? She's able to speak up. There's a lot of them that just walk like Bernie Sanders on a fake phone.
Acting like he's talking.
Hi, Brian. There's somebody bothering me, but I'm not going to be rude and talk to them. I'm going to, beep, beep, beep. Anyway.
And if you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. All right, back to Alexander.
Limit that I have in terms of what legislation I'm allowed to touch. Are there any limits on the laws that I can write or influence, especially if I'm based on the special interest funds that I accepted to finance my campaign and get me elected in the first place?
There's no limit.
So there's none. So I can be totally funded by oil and gas. I can be totally funded by Big Pharma. Come in, write Big Pharma laws, and there's no limits to that whatsoever.
Yes, but there's a reason why that doesn't happen.
You got to get everybody to vote on those things that you wrote.
And even if you got past everybody and got voted in, you only get one term. There is no way your opponents the next time, which is only in 2 years, when your opponents run against you, they're going to destroy you with everything that you've done.
Yes,
that's what a representative democracy is.
They're going to rail against your record.
Yeah.
Okay, so awesome. Now, Mr. Mirabani, the last thing I want to do is get rich with as little work possible.
By the way, isn't she the one that says you should go ahead and get paid as much as you need, even if you don't want to work? Isn't she the one?
Well, that's gone now.
It was fake news.
That's gone now.
It was fake news because, which is, by the way, that's fake news. The reality is, it really was on there, and she's trying to say there wasn't. Anyway, just
really what I'm trying to do as the bad guy, right?
Yeah, she's a bad guy.
So, is there anything preventing me from holding stocks, say, in an oil or gas company, and then writing laws to deregulate that industry? And that could potentially cause the stock value to soar and accrue a lot of money in that time.
You could do that.
By the way,
Hillary Clinton, Uranium One, with Bill Clinton's. It was an in-law. It was somebody part of the family. It might have been Clinton's brother. Somebody was involved in the Uranium One deal where they were on the board. Mm-hmm. And they raked in all kinds of money for the sale of Uranium One. Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, all y'all on the insider trading deals.
And she's got to be careful, too, because there's so many.
She's exposing a lot of people right now.
All of her colleagues.
She needs security detail.
She's exposing so many of her colleagues that she might actually be putting in danger the support structure that she needs to get reelected the next time.
Right.
But, of course, they're not going to do that because they're just going to push her right up to president. They're going to push her. Okay. There's going to be a large group of Democrats that are just going to funnel her right in there.
She's got to win again.
Yes, she does. She's going to have to win a couple times to get old enough to be eligible for president. You have to be 35. She's only like 28.
Is she 28?
She's pretty young.
So this term will take her to 30.
Well, I don't know her exact age, but yeah, she's got a couple of terms that she's got to win.
She's got to get reelected at least 2 more times then.
Yes.
At least 2 more. Okay.
But she's in an area where she'll never lose. She's not going to lose.
Oh, they're going to love her there.
No, she's in an area that it's a one-party. It's like being in California and trying to. You're just not going to win.
Okay. All right.
So anyway,
do that. I could do that now with the way our current laws are set up. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. So my last question is, or one of my last questions, I guess I'd say, is it possible that any elements of this story apply to our current government and our current public servants right now?
Yes.
Yes. So we have a system that is fundamentally broken.
That's a conclusion.
That's
a conclusion.
Hold on, though. I will say I've talked to my pastor about politics a lot. He's really interested and Trump supporter. And we were talking about I made the comment that Trump is your vindication. Trump is if you guys are looking for people to go to jail, if you're looking for whatever you're looking for, Trump won. And you got to hang your hat on that. And so he told me, he's like, Brian, you got a system that was created by flawed human beings.
Okay.
So inherently, it will be flawed. The system is all flawed.
It's about as close to perfection as maybe possible. Originally, I think it's been corrupted since then, but
and you have human beings that created it and that corrupted it, and you've got the yin and the yang and the pull back and forth. So her saying this is the system is broken. Well, it'll never be perfect. We'll never have the utopian.
Yeah,
society.
It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's never going to be absolutely perfect. So because we can't quite get it to perfection, we're going to replace it with a communist government?
Yeah,
no.
We have these influences existing in this body, which means that these influences are here in this committee shaping the questions that are being asked of you all right now.
So she just came to her biggest conclusion was that, well, my story must be true if it's allowed to be.
Well, they agreed that it's true with some people now.
Now she's saying it is clearly in our system. It's clearly there. We have it.
Well, they agreed with her that I don't disagree with her conclusion that what she described does describe current legislators right now as we speak.
So you're saying they're bad, evil dudes?
Well, she went all the way to the very extreme with it. But yeah, there's people who are making, let's say, a majority of their fundraising off of corporations, and then they go and they make legislation favorable to those corporations. And a lot of people complain about that. But she's also assuming her baseline is that if you're a corporation, you are evil. Therefore, in order to combat evil, we must regulate corporations out of existence. To go in as a legislator and to take away the punishment we have inflicted on these evil corporations is evil in itself. It's aiding and abetting the enemy in her mind. She's ignoring the fact that by helping these corporations, you're going to increase wages. You're going to increase the number of jobs. Unemployment's going to go down because they're going to need people to employ. And this is the basis of our capitalist system. It's why America is the great superpower that it is, and why the middle class exists, where we can go and earn a livable wage and raise a family and all this kind of stuff. She's ignoring all that. She's just saying, evil corporations might buy off politicians, and those politicians, because they're so evil, they're a really bad guy. Really bad guy. I'm Jack Nicholson at this point. And they are going to they're going to decrease regulations. That has got to be the most evil thing ever.
Well, yeah,
to decrease regulation,
and it goes against her Green Deal. So she's railing against all this.
So the whole thing is just a sham.
Would you say that that's correct, Mr. Marabani?
Yeah, they're agreeing.
Mr. Schaub?
Yes.
All right. So
I would have added that it's not
one last
evil.
thing, Mr. Schaub. In relation to congressional oversight that we have, the limits that are placed on me as a congresswoman, compared to the executive branch and compared to, say, the President of the United States.
Okay, now she's now making a leap of faith. She is going to compare her position to the president's position and what.
It's actually brilliantly done. She's basically created the straw man with her own branch.
Right.
And then said, is the straw man in the executive branch bigger and more evil than what we have or not?
That's exactly where she's going.
Would you say that Congress has the same sort of standard of accountability? Is there more teeth in that regulation in Congress on the president, or would you say it's about even, or more so on the federal?
In terms of laws that apply to the president, yeah, there's just almost no laws at all that apply to the president.
So I'm being held, and every person in this body is being held to a higher ethical standard than the president of the United States.
That's right, because there are some ethics committee rules that apply to you.
And it's already super legal, as we've seen, for me to be a pretty bad guy. So it's even easier for the president of the United States to be one, I would assume.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
But they're the ones that make the laws. The president can't make the laws. You have to. The reason they're co-equal branches of government, and by equal, I mean equal in power. He has less oversight and less regulations as a president on him, because he has less power to affect change and on anything, because he can't make laws. He has to adhere to the laws that the Congress makes, and he can't make his own laws. I mean, there's executive orders, and that's another thing. People really mistake what an executive order is.
Oh, because Obama abused the hell out of it.
Right. There are definitely some well, you know why he abused it?
Because nobody stopped him.
Because they told him that nobody's going to stop him. But all an executive order is, and I'll repeat this. I'll repeat. If I have to repeat this every single show, I will, because I think people need to remember it. The president of the United States is the dictator of the executive branch. If the executive branch was its own country, the president's a dictator, flat out, 100% a dictator. But what makes the United States of America a balance of power, or checks and balances that prevent abuse of power, is that we have a branch called the legislature, or the legislature branch, that will check the abuse of power of our dictator of the executive branch by threatening impeachment. And so you don't want to go overboard as a dictator, because you can get impeached, which is why we don't have a dictator. Also, he can't come down and say that these rules apply to your average citizen, because he's not a legislator. He can't make laws. The laws that he makes, which are governed by executive orders, only apply to government workers who are in the executive branch. Like I said, he's the dictator of the executive branch. So an executive order is just the laws that apply to executive level government employees. That's it. That's all it is. And so this idea, people need to understand this stuff, which is why the Congress has so much power. They have so much power because they're the ones that make the laws. Right. So all that was completely omitted. When you understand how it all works dynamically, you realize how what she said was, in fact, a straw man. But if you don't take that stuff into consideration, it seems like a very well thought out expose of the flawed system that we're being governed by. But it's not. It's not. We have Fourth Estate, which is the media who whistleblows on these people. You also could have government employees that, if you really abuse power, can blow the whistle and tell the press what's going on. You also have we the people who can vote these corrupt politicians out of office. And then as far as the president's concerned, if he tries to abuse his power too much, he can be impeached. So all this stuff is governed by our system of checks and balances. Now
Well
you know.
said. Well said. Yeah.
Now I need the star to go across the screen. The more you know.
Yes. Oh, my
So,
goodness. Well,
anyway.
Okay, so real quick, I don't want to use up all our time in doing Ocasio-Cortez because we got a lot of other stuff to get to.
Station identification.
Yes.
Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Smith Radio. That's spelled SMYTH. And then, of course, Brian is Brian P. Smith. That's BRIANSMYTH. Oh, and the P in the middle. Brian P. Smith. And definitely, we have the Patreon. And somebody was complaining about PayPal, rightfully so, because they're deplatforming conservatives.
Okay, so Cash.me.
It's kind of like Cash Me.
Yeah.
Cash.me.
Cash.me is I'm
You loading it up right now? So we
I
can
can't believe it.
What?
I believe I put it on our website.
Well, if not, by the
it.
time this program's over, Brian's going to jump right on there and get it on there. So
I sure didn't.
So he didn't. Okay, so that's what he was complaining about. You got
That was our website. If you want to watch us live on our website, you do that too, SmithTV.com.
And you may be listening right now on the website right now. So anyway, no, check it out. Cash.me. And did you have
Yeah, it's there. You know how Twitter has the @ symbol? Mm-hmm. They have the $ sign.
I remember that.
And
yes.
it's Smith TV.
Okay.
Because I was talking with my wife about this, and she's like, yes, you guys are transitioning to Smith TV. So we absolutely need to start to change and shift that road.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I remember making a Cash.me. Now that you say it's a $sign. Because I remember going,
you told me about
$sign.
Right.
Because the $sign looks like an S.
I thought it was the goofiest thing ever when you told me.
Yeah, I said it's $sign MYTHRADIO. Is what I said. So I'm probably messing everybody up right now by saying
no. One of our patrons sent it, and she's like, I'm waiting for Smith Radio to accept it. I'm like, how is that possible? Don't have one. So she undid it and then went Smith TV.
So she found the old Smith Radio.
She sent it to Smith Radio. Yeah.
I'll dig it up. We'll
delete it.
I'll use the trench tool. I'll dig it up with the trench tool.
Yeah. Make sure it's activated or something in case there's an accident. But I'll put it up there on the website. Right. Don't worry about it.
We'll have multiple places for you guys. Donate bypassing the evil corporation that is PayPal because they are deplatforming conservatives.
Cash.me is free for you, and it's free for us. There's no charge.
That's amazing.
Unless I want it immediately, if I want it instantly now, it's like 15 cents.
Oh, okay.
Or 45 cents. But if I wait for like a business day, it's free.
Amazing. All right. I'll take it.
So I'm good, folks.
I actually like it better than PayPal.
And the other thing, too, I sent the link to our good friend Kat.
Yeah.
She clicked the link, signed up. She got $5 for sending money, and I got $5 for her getting on.
Okay, so there's going to be a link somewhere where Brian will have to put up where if you click on that when you sign up, we both get $5.
Yeah,
you guys get $5. We get $5.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
All right, good to go. With that being said, we've got so many other things to get to. Let's get to this. Let's run down. Dang nabbit. Well, let's go to the State of the Union.
Oh, no. Somebody said that when they hear Cash.me, Vesey said, the only thing I could think of is the Cash Me Outside. How about that?
No.
Cash Me Outside. How about that?
Oh, come on, man. All right.
Oh, man.
Okay, so
those are good old days.
So this was a huge week, folks. State of the Union address, huge. One of the greatest speeches ever given by our president of the United States of America, Donald John Trump. One of the greatest speeches he has given. The only There is a Republican that tweeted out his worst speech ever. It's not possible because the poll done by CBS Poll, they polled people who watched it. So it's clearly not, you're clearly wrong if you think that this wasn't his greatest speech ever or one of his best speeches ever. We all thought he knocked it out of the park. If you were hanging out with us, Smith Radio, on Tuesday night, loved it, had a blast.
Oh, yeah, we basically played it with the mics on so we could chime in whenever we wanted to.
Right, especially sometimes when they start clapping, it goes on for on and on and on. And then I pointed out Marsha Blackburn was sitting there, looked beautiful as ever. Some of these Republican women, I'm telling most of them, just really deserve their position because they earned it. I'm serious. They're very intelligent women.
Did you do the summary?
Well, I was going
to do the summary video.
You want me to? I can play that right now.
So the whole State of the Union speech was 90 minutes, and he said a lot of great things. There was nothing in there that I remember thinking, oh my gosh, get to the point. So it was good. But somebody, one of our good friends, Henry Haha Davis, decided to just make a quick little 2-minute summary of the entire speech. So we can go ahead and play that right now. This is a complete, full summary without any – I don't think anything was left out, to be perfectly honest with you, of the speech. So go ahead and play that.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States. What's up, y'all? What's up, Mike? What's going on, player? Hey, Nancy, how you doing, girl? Where my baby at? My baby is stand up, baby. Stand up, baby. That's right, clap for my baby. She look good, don't she? I did good, didn't I? Hey, what's up, baby? I love you too. Okay, check this out. Everybody working. Everybody working. Blacks, Latinos, everybody working. Unemployment is down. Everybody's working. Everybody off food stamps. And we ain't going to participate in no more of these old foolish ass wars. We ain't going to do that no more. So drop all these old punk ass investigations and appoint my nominees. It's taking too damn long. And stop mistreating our veterans. Matter of fact, stand up, player. Happy birthday to you. That's right. We salute you, sir. We salute you, sir. Shout out to Miss Johnson. Why Miss Johnson at? Stand up, Miss Johnson. I was so pissed when I heard her story, how she was doing 20 years, and I was so pissed that now I signed the bill with Lil Pookie. Everybody finna get out. Matter of fact, what bill at? Stand up, Bill. He the first one to get out. It's gonna be more to come. Now, check this out. I'm sending 3,750 more troops down to the border. You know why? Because all of you people, all you illegals that think y'all finna get in, take y'all ass back to where you come from. Because you ain't getting in. It ain't gonna happen. All these rich-ass politicians in here, y'all got big-ass fences and walls around y'all house, but y'all don't want to fund my bill? I tell you what, I'm gonna get it done, damn it. You can best believe I'm gonna get the bill done. All these drugs and MS-13 members coming over here killing us. Y'all stand up. See, them people right there, they lost their people to some illegal immigrants. We gonna stop that shit. Let me say another thing. All of y'all that clapped for that baby killing bill up in New York, y'all need y'all asses kicked. Y'all make me sick to my stomach. And finally, we was born free, we gonna stay free, and America will never be a socialist nation, bitches.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow. That was so brilliant. I loved it. I shared that on Facebook. I shared that on everything. That's Henry Haha Davis. We had him on 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, I had him on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was great. He kept it under 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so I think he could upload it onto Twitter. I didn't find it on Twitter. I thought I found it on YouTube, so he definitely has it on YouTube, but just brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. Good stuff. I was talking with him during the week, and we're looking at probably bringing him back on maybe next week, the week after. Oh, I'm also talking with Buzz Patterson.
Oh, good.
He said he couldn't make it this week, but he definitely wants to come on next week, so I'm really excited about Buzz Patterson.
He's such an awesome guy. During the American Priority Conference, he was hanging out and just talked to everybody and anybody for as long as they wanted to talk to him. That is so cool.
And when I tell you it was the who's who of the who's who with the MAGA meetup, the famous media or social media people, they were all there.
Oh, yeah.
All there to talk to all day long. They all follow us now. We follow them. If you were there, they probably would have followed you.
Everybody
too.
loved it. There was the one guy I was talking to that throughout he was like complaining about a couple things. It's our first conference ever, so there's going to be some hiccups and some issues that we have to work through. So at the very end, when we're sitting there watching Papadopoulos get interviewed, he was sitting right next to me, and right before we were just kind of chit-chatting, and it was the end of the conference, so I'm thinking, gosh, I heard this guy complain lightly complain about a couple things. I wonder if, what he thinks about it overall. And he was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm like, really? He was like, oh, yeah, just everybody. I feel like I'm with family. And I'm just like, oh, that just made my whole weekend.
That's what it's all about, y'all.
It's great stuff.
So Donald Trump, this is the video. This is the part of Trump's speech that just is unbelievable, folks. Donald Trump, if you ever remember during the campaign speech, the run-up where it was from a movie, and it was a guy who had this thing, I think it was Batman, but it was the bad guy that had this thing over his face.
Yeah, and there's people that are comic book movie fans that are probably screaming at their screen right now.
Right, because they know it. Yeah, but it was like, and we give this power back to the people, and that's what Trump has done, folks.
Yeah. Oh, and that was part of his inaugural address too.
And if you don't know,
but we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
Whose job was it to mess with that audio? No, it was probably the original. Look at Ocasio-Cortez is just angry.
All the women in white, yeah.
Together we can break decades of political stalemate. We can bridge old divisions, heal old wounds, build new coalitions, forge new solutions, and unlock the extraordinary promise of America's future. The decision is ours to make. We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness.
Why would you not want greatness?
Only the Republicans stood up on that.
Okay, so real quick, look at the desk. Dude, does that look like she's got like flasks of liquor in front of her?
Definitely. Yeah, that's exact. I mean, what else could that possibly be?
I mean, Mike Pence has got a single glass of water, and she's got
something that's made out of silver or pewter or something that
she's got mixers
some
going
sort
on.
of a medieval liquor cabinet. Yeah, something to that effect. So I never noticed that. We sat here and watched the whole entire thing with you guys. We commented on it live. I don't even remember that. I'm surprised we didn't point that out during the. Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so as he gives this speech, back and forth, you're seeing some of the bad people, the ones that are the hate-filled ones. They're not standing for nothing. He talks about, what was it? President Trump calls on Congress to put ruthless coyotes, drug cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business. And the Democrats, they all refuse to stand and clap. 2020 presidential candidate Kamala Harris shakes her head in disagreement.
Well, if you guys want to hear the devil's advocate excuse on that explanation, when they hear you say, what was the list? Drug dealers,
coyotes, drug dealers, human traffickers,
cartels.
Put them out of business.
Okay, so here's why they frown and say, I'm not standing up for that. Because they think that we're calling all immigrants, illegal, legal, doesn't matter. They don't like that we're, in their mind, I'm not agreeing with this, I'm playing devil's advocate here, that we call all immigrants ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers. It's ridiculous because we always distinguish that we're talking about ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
We'll name it by name.
Right.
But the reason why they think that either A, we really need, that's just a dog whistle for brown people that we don't like. No, seriously, they'll say that. They say, if you turn on CNN,
that's true, they do
the
say
experts, commentators that they bring on flat out say that, well, that's just the Republicans talking about how they don't like brown people. They will literally say that. So I watch it for you guys so you guys don't have to suffer through it. But they believe that, and even if they don't, even if they think that we stupidly don't know that we're actually talking about all immigrants, this is in their mind, right, that we should know that we're sending the kind of message that others less wise and sophisticated might be brainwashed into not liking any immigrants and being a total like we're training people through brainwashing to be xenophobes. But no, I mean, you have to have more respect for humanity than that. You have to be able to raise your children to say, hey, not all immigrants are illegal. Not all immigrants are cartel, drug dealers, ruthless coyotes, or human traffickers. Not all of them. And when we are going after that by building a wall, reforming our immigration policy, we're going after those particular immigrants, the illegals that are coming over here without going through the proper channels, and the violent people who are doing the human trafficking and all. So, and you know what? People understand that, and you have to have faith in your fellow man that
Absolutely.
They will understand that and not be xenophobes. And I think that they're projecting because they are prejudiced people. The Democrats.
Oh, yes.
The Democrats are.
Absolutely.
And they say, well, I know how I think, and I'm an ignorant racist.
So you've got to be as bad, if not worse.
Well, yeah, because you're human too, right?
Right.
So you're obviously a evil racist.
You've got
just
it.
like I am.
You got it in your blood.
You're not fighting it like I am. I'm fighting my own racism. You're not doing enough, Brian. Seriously, am I not right?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm
That's
dead on
it.
right. You're not doing a good enough job of fighting your racism.
You need to
You
fight
have to
it more.
be like me and
Right.
fight it hard. I'm a white man.
Right.
And as a white man, I am the worst offender for racism. But I'm doing my part. I'm
fighting it.
signaling the virtue. I got the big old tower with the big beacon coming off of it. I'm virtue signaling. I'm punishing myself. I'm punishing other white men who are also misogynistic, xenophobic, racist. And I don't see you doing the same, Brian.
No, I'm not.
That's how bad of a person you are.
I know.
All right, so now that I've ventured you into the mind of your average Democrat.
Yeah, projection.
Now you know.
Right. So Democrat Senator Jeff Merkley, because Donald Trump said we will never be a socialist nation.
Right.
That triggered a boatload of the socialists, especially Bernie.
I felt like they curled up and said, "Oh no, he found out."
Yeah, he found out. He spilled the beans.
Yeah.
So Democrat Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon tries to define socialism on, I believe it's MSNBC, and let's let you do it in his own words.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
If you have the video clip, let's hear it.
It's in his own words. Let's see.
Jeff Merkley?
Yeah.
Okay.
The president last night also called out some of the more liberal members of your party, and this is going to be really important, Senator, given what we've seen so far in this pre-primary season. Let me replay what he said.
We are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Boo.
America was founded on liberty and independence and not government coercion, domination, and control. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Yes. I was so happy
Do you
to hear
agree,
that.
Senator Merkley, at the bottom line, America should never be a socialist country?
You know, the president started out by saying it was going to be bipartisan, wanted to bring people together, but he just couldn't restrain himself from going into campaign mode. Certainly we heard Paul Ryan, when he was Speaker, say, hey, now that we've won this big tax giveaway to the richest Americans, we have to dismantle these social programs. We have to dismantle Medicare or tone it down. We have to diminish Social Security, these what they refer to as entitlements. I call them programs earned and very smart programs for our seniors. And I support those. And the president wants to tear those apart. I think he's making a big mistake for the quality of life in America. And I think people are going to
you don't
respond.
see that as socialism, right? I mean, in terms of the word, obviously it's a word of significance.
Well, it is a society coming together to increase the standard of living of our seniors, and that is pretty much the definition, and the president's attacking it.
No. He pointed out that socialism only applies to seniors?
Now, this is classic gaslighting, folks. He's redefining, he's making you, if you think you know what socialism is, you're dumb, according to him.
Yeah.
Because he's got to redefine it for you.
He's got to tell you what it really means.
Right, what it really means. And when he tells you a lie, a bold-faced lie about what it is, and makes you question yourself and makes you question reality. I mean, clearly, and the lie has to be huge. This is an insane lie. He went off the rails talking about old people. Talking about Social Security.
I don't mean to sound like a broken record because we just brought up straw man, but that's what a straw man is. It's you're not attacking the actual argument. You're creating a new argument and saying that that's what your opponent said.
Right.
So he did that by redefining socialism. So when we know what Trump means when he says that America will never be a socialist nation, that's why we have to attack Obamacare. That's a big piece of the puzzle, really big. I really don't know why more people are not attacking the Department of Education as a federal department.
Right.
I think that the states can do well enough to make sure that their citizens are educated. I think that parents want their children to be educated. We are such an advanced, sophisticated society here in America now that I just can't imagine, I shouldn't be naive on this, but I can't imagine parents being like, well, I could get my kids educated, but why would I want to do that?
I don't need that.
Yeah, that's just not going to work. And so, and if a state is worried about that and wants to have compulsory education, which we all do, and I think that everybody should go to school for the first 8 school. The states can handle that. This federal Department of Education has just implemented a propaganda arm of the socialist country. So this is the socialism that Donald Trump's talking about. He decided, Mr. Merkley decided, well, what he's talking about is Medicare for seniors and Social Security.
What about the old people?
By the way, Social Security is a big chunk of our socialist country too.
But you pay into that.
Oh, not anymore. Whoa, you do not get back what you paid in anymore.
Right,
Talk to my dad about that.
Right,
Talk to my dad about that. But check this out. Now, in this new modern day era of a more advanced capitalist society that we are, most people are not having to depend on Social Security because we have 401ks. We have everything that you can do in the stock market. And it's funny because my dad was able to become very wealthy strictly on his own input into the free market. And he just ignores what he's going to end up getting from Social Security because it's scraps. And you're going to live a very rough end of your life if you're depending on that as your sole source of income in your last couple decades. If you retired at 65 and you lived to 85, that's 20 more years of living in squalor because that is what you're only. Grandma,
for us, we'll never get it.
My grandma lived a very tough life her last 20 years because she was relying solely on Social Security, and it was a joke.
Gen X is not getting that. Gen X is not getting a Social Security check.
Well, that's what they're saying. What, because it's going to run out or whatever?
Just
borrow from future generations. Yeah. That's all you got to do.
So more fake news out there. NPR, why we have a government-funded radio outlet is beyond me. NPR
Why
needs
did that
to be
even start?
Oh, because he got to get the propaganda out properly. Through the radio waves, through the airwaves.
Whoever came up with that has to be a full-blown communist.
Yeah, National Public Radio. Fact check. President Trump praised the record number of women in Congress, but that's almost entirely because of Democrats, not Trump's party.
Wait, read that again?
Fact check. President Trump praised the record number of women in Congress, but that's almost entirely because of Democrats, not Trump's party. So Trump praising the women who got elected overwhelmingly
was fact checked.
They fact checked that. The fact that he praised them, and they're insinuating that he praised them as if he got them elected.
Okay,
that's what they're insinuating.
This is another straw man where they can't attack the fact that Trump just generally said, hey, there's women in Congress. I salute all the women and the entire gender. I salute the entire gender for making such a giant leap for their gender by producing so many lawmakers in our House and Senate that we've never had before. They can't accept that. They have to say, wait a minute. We know that if it were up to Trump, we'd get rid of all these women and just have all men in there. Ignoring the fact that he hired more women in executive positions than just about anybody else anybody can name as CEO of a major corporation or any CEO billionaire. Can anybody name a CEO billionaire as a private citizen that hired more women than Trump? I would venture, and I mean senior position. I'm not talking about fetch me some coffee. I'm talking
we're not talking about Walmart.
Yeah, I'm talking senior positions here. And so Trump did that. Here he is as president, hiring women at the White House and all these positions, and they're trying to say that he's not allowed to praise the record number of women in Congress because it wasn't his party that did it.
Well, fact check. It was the Democrats that did it, not Trump. So him praising. I mean, it's convoluted. But anyways, the reason why I got this is because I followed Don Jr.
Yeah.
And Don Jr. retweeted, fact check. You people are morons.
Oh, I'm going to fact check Don Jr. real quick. Yeah, that's true.
True. Okay, good.
Yeah.
You people are morons. He praised them and their success.
Right.
He didn't pick sides. He didn't take credit.
Yeah, he didn't.
He genuinely was happy for it, and yet you still knock him? What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's a great tweet by Don Jr. Especially, I didn't even think of this, and I'm glad he pointed it out. It would have been proper for NPR to say that had there been any semblance of Trump attempting to take credit. And by the way, we pointed this out. We were the first ones live. If you were watching us, we were the first ones to point out that it was a brilliant move for Trump to say what he said and react the way he did when all the white coats, the white hoods or whatever I don't know what they're called, the women stood up and started high-fiving each other. I think it was Rush pointed out that Nancy Pelosi's going to really scold them in private.
Because the people who love Ocasio-Cortez are seeing Donald Trump praising her and her getting excited. They are truly going to be confused.
Well, they're going to give Trump credit for making it happen because that's the way it looked, and which is why NPR had to put out a fake fact check. They had to put out that fact check to combat the fact that those women who are mostly freshman representatives, congresswomen, they didn't know that you're not supposed to do that because it to them it looked like, yeah, look what we did, look what we did. So that's all on us.
So he complimented him one. Complimented him a second time.
Yeah. And said, stay on your feet.
Ho.
I got more.
Well, first off, he said, hey, you wasn't supposed to do that. You weren't supposed to do that.
He did say that. I didn't know you were going to do that. That's awesome. And by the way, stay on your wait. There's more. Right. So, and we pointed that out live if you were watching us last Tuesday, which, it was a great night. It was a great speech. And I thought that was the highlight because I was dumbfounded, just like everybody else, that they would behave that way, knowing that the optics of people that don't know any better, they're just kind of tuning in real quick, or they're not paying close attention, but they see that it looks like Trump should get credit, which prompted NPR's fake fact check.
Right, absolutely.
Hilarious.
And this happened too. Kristen Sima, is that how you pronounce that woman's name? From Arizona.
Sinema.
Sinema.
Yeah.
Kristen Sinema.
Think of theater.
Okay, so instead of an S,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this on the screen. For those of you audio only, you're just going to have to listen. I don't know. Okay, so this is Kristen Sinema standing up and clapping for something Trump said, and she wasn't supposed to.
Oops.
Okay, well, there she is. Hold on. She's standing up. She's in pink. She's the only one standing in the Democrat section. She's from Arizona.
She's got the black rim horn glasses that you see the SJWs wearing a lot.
I mean, she's still totally cute. I mean, who wouldn't vote for her?
No, I'm just saying that when you see those glasses, it's almost like a uniform item.
Okay, so now watch the woman. If you're looking at the screen, watch the woman on your left. As she stands up, she's all in white. And now I'm going to let it play, but watch her lips. She says, "Watch your ass."
No.
Watch your ass. Look at that. Watch your ass.
No, she didn't say watch your ass. She says...
Yep, and then tight-lipped and sits down.
What?
You tight-lipped
really
and sit down. It wasn't me that said this, but I replayed this multiple. Just watch her lips. If she didn't say watch her, she didn't say that.
Okay.
Hold on. If she didn't say that, look at her demeanor as she gets up. She looks at her, mouths something, tightens her lip, and sits back down.
So let's say there was a block that you couldn't see her lips at all. Body language alone, you could tell that she was trying to signal to her that I don't approve of you standing and clapping. Because she did stand up and not clap, and she did say something to her, and she did have a really nasty look on her face.
Now, I did say in one of my scopes, I made the comment that bad lip reading, I love it. I think it's incredible.
You can make people say whatever they want.
And it doesn't make sense how they can do that.
It's amazing.
I'm shocked at how they can do that.
There's got to be like somebody that, you know how I have the ability to look at a stranger or somebody that's not famous and say that person's face looks like a famous person, and for some reason my brain just works that way. Apparently, if you watch bad lip reading, there's somebody that has a brain that is able to figure out crazy things that people say just by reading their lips. And I don't think it's just a lip reader.
Right.
Definitely somebody with a lot of interesting creativity.
And we are at the top of the hour. This is 7 o'clock hour, folks. You're watching Smith Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. We go live at 5 every Sunday, but we are attempting to shift gears and do an hour weekly show Monday through Friday.
Doing the faces. No, serious face.
Instead of Sunday only, so that we can spread it out through the week. Smaller, shorter clips, if you will, versus 3 hours, shorter 1 hour clips. More manageable, more digestible, I guess, if you will.
Plus, we can get it out faster. A lot of times, if something comes out on a Monday, we might not even cover it all on our Sunday show. If it comes out like on a Tuesday, like it feels like a million years ago that the State of the Union happened.
Not only that, but I promise you, I know you guys are yelling at us that we're not doing it justice. We could talk the entire 3 hours about it.
We did the live show. Right. So if you missed that, you're bad. But but the thing is sometimes when we report on something that we hadn't reported on because our last show was last Sunday, let's say something big happened Monday, I almost feel like it's stale.
Things happen Sunday night during this show.
Yes.
We can't.
We either don't talk about it at all the following Sunday, or it feels really stale. Like, man, that's old news. We've already rehashed that. Everybody else has already talked about that. So now you're saying with a daily show, get to you more promptly.
Right. So if you enjoy the show, if you want to help new news media, if you want to do something, you can't get up out of your chair, or I'm not the kind of person that gets involved in politics. I hate the Republican Party. So do we.
Or you're unwilling to work.
Yeah, whatever. You can do your part by helping support new news media. And again, we have a couple of 2019 calendars still out. Anybody that signs up tonight on the Patreon or the PayPal or the Cash Me if you can. I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have said that.
No, it was Vesey. Blame her.
But,
I'm blaming Vesey.
But anyways, yeah, do your part. Help us out so that we can make this a daily show and we can help to get the real news out for the youth that's coming up. Gen Z is right there. And to wrap up, we just talked about State of the Union address. To wrap that entire thing up, CBS, not friendly to Trump. News poll, approval rating of the speech among speech watchers, 97% approval for Republicans that watch the speech. No surprise there. There's always going to be some never Trumpers, but if you think about that, the never Trumper crowd is getting awful small, folks. 97% approval rating. Never Trumpers getting small. Independent approval of Donald Trump's speech. Independents, 82%. Of the Democrats, approval of Trump's speech, 30%.
That's actually significant.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought these up. There's a lot of people talking about it. So 76% total approval of the speech. That alone is
that's 3/4 of the people watched it.
That's more than 3/4. Yeah, it's amazing. If he can keep those kinds of, even close to those numbers, it's going to be major landslide. And I even venture to guess that he may win 48, 49, or 50 states.
Right. We're
in 2020.
We're making shirts right now, T-shirts right now. Trump 2024.
Okay, and so no.
I'm just joking.
But 97% Republican means all Republicans like it. I can't. Okay, who was it? Somebody said that they didn't like it. It was a Republican.
Yes, it was a Republican politician. It was an idiot guy.
I thought it was like I can't remember who it was, but I was really?
It was a skinny, dorky white guy with blonde hair.
Okay, so, but then 82% of independents. If everybody, since I've been involved in paying attention to politics, everybody's like, you got to win the independents. You got to win the independents.
Because you're going to get your regular Republican for the president of the United States. For the president, not a senator, not necessarily governor, but for the president of the United States, Republicans go and pull the lever for Republicans.
Right.
Democrats pull the lever for Democrats.
Now, 30% of Democrats, that's who approved of the speech. And a lot of people are saying, well, it's Democrats, and 30%, that sounds really low. Think about it, people. Democrats hate Republicans now. It's so divided. We are so divided. And in particular, it seems like most of them absolutely hate Trump with such a passion.
They really believe he colluded with Russia. They really did. They truly did.
For 30% of them, that's like 1 in 3. For 1 in 3 Democrats to come out and say, yeah, I approve of that speech. That's really big.
That's a shock.
That's really big. I mean, you realize that Democrats for the longest time have been saying that only 30% of all of America approve of Trump as a president at all. And now we can say that 30% of Democrats, their own party, approved of that speech. That's pretty significant. So all those numbers are giant. So
those landslide, but we cannot take it for granted. We got to beat the cheat. We got to beat the media, and we got to beat the Democrats.
I'm trying to find a telegram on this crazy. Oh wow, I'll figure it out. Okay. I was going to send you something. Do you have the Carpe Duncum video that he made for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He made that for you?
I told him the idea, and he said, not this one. No, that's actually a really good one. That one went viral, totally viral. No, the one about the blackface in Virginia. Not that one. I'll send it to you.
All right.
Anyway, go ahead.
I'll play this one. This one is funny. We can wrap the whole thing up with this one.
Oh, there's the desktop app. There we go.
Madam Speaker!
Oh, this is good.
The President of the United States!
So he's highlighting.
Swalwell.
Yes.
Warren.
Look at they are genuinely sad.
Somebody's crying. Oh, the Muslim was crying. Kamala Harris. Oh, she's all choked up. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Look at
Madam
Booker.
Speaker. Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
She rolled her eyes.
She did.
Now, there's creative editing here, but
Mitt Romney's crying.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Bernie Sanders.
He's so sad.
Cortez is angry.
More people are working now than at any time in the history of our country. 157 million people at work. It's time to sing along. And we must always keep faith.
Looks so evil.
In America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Cory Booker had an angry look. Oh, that's funny. Mitt Romney. Because remember, he's the one that had it. He had the presidency in his clutches. He stole defeat from the jaws of victory. He could have been in the White House for at least 4 years.
Right, and he was told. He was told he had to let it go.
There's no other explanation for that other than that he was ordered to step down or to back off,
right.
For sure. So do you want to get into the blackface controversy?
Oh, yeah.
So Carpe Duncan also made another video that we'll play for you in a second, but we'll set it up with this. So Virginia, what is going on with Virginia?
Oh, this is the one. Oh, I remember this one. Okay.
So apparently we have a blackface controversy.
A little bit. And
the thing is there's a lot of controversy amongst Republicans as to how to handle this. There's people that are worried that there's hypocrisy because we wanted there to be due process with Kavanaugh, and to be perfectly honest with you,
folks,
the gloves are off.
You know, we're in a day and age right now to where we've actually taken pages from their playbook.
Yes, that's true.
And we've used it against them, accepting the name deplorable, accepting of these things and say, yes, that is who we are.
And we've taken the double standard and decided, you know what, we're going to apply the standard that they put on us. Even though we fought, there's people to this day that'll say, well, I'm just not going to stoop to that level and do the things that the Democrats do.
You don't have to. I will.
There you go. Well,
I'm sick and tired of the cheating, the lying, the stealing. I'm sick of all of it.
Yeah.
And the only way, because it'll never be fair, the only way
to even the playing field,
to even try, it'll never be even, but to try
to get there, to go in that direction,
right, is to use their playbook.
Okay, and just to give you an example, a real world example of how war really is the key component to sacrificing principles. Now, some people say, "What? We don't sacrifice principles." In war, we kill innocent people in order to win the war, right? I mean, we had to
morals and principles, Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, war is war, and it is what it is.
Do you want to win?
Yeah.
Do you want your country back?
So you do. We have and do and will in the future sacrifice certain principles such as you don't kill an innocent human being. And some people say, well, he's not innocent. He's fighting for the other side. Really? What has he done? And you know what I'm saying? So there's that. Now, in this particular case, so somebody has blackface. Now, I've never done blackface, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, trying to figure out, okay, so if you're going to play a character, a specific character, and you're a white person, and the person you're going to play at, like, say, a costume party or something like that, like, let's say a Michael Jackson, at the time was black, because back in the early 80s or whatever, his skin was darker, much darker than yours. And if you really want to make it look right, I mean, look at Karl Malone.
Ted Danzig.
Ted Danzig. Did he do blackface?
Oh, yes.
Oh, but he did the minstrel style.
Well, he was with Whoopi Goldberg at the time.
Okay, so that's different.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, if you're doing a minstrel show and it's not to highlight the horrible thing that a minstrel show does, which is basically portray black people in a very bad light.
Jimmy Kimmel, that's
so you're making fun of black people for the color of their skin or their look or whatever. Obviously, is a huge problem.
Oh, because Jimmy Kimmel was making fun of Karl Malone.
He was making fun of Karl Malone in a very racist way, but the fact that he put brown paint on himself to make him look almost exactly like Karl Malone, I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with Tropic Thunder. What's his name?
Yeah.
If he's, if you're gonna play a black person, like really a black person, you're not gonna do it without coloring your skin black in a movie, right? Or not by black, I mean brown. So I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff, but it's the minstrel show stuff or making fun of like a whole race based on a certain look. So you have blackface.
Oh, he did blackface Oprah Winfrey for the Man Show.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel did.
That's what I said.
Okay, Kimmel. I'm sorry. My brain was not working on the Jimmy Kimmel thing. So you have a whole bunch of it. So Brian right now is searching through YouTube, and there's all kinds of videos of people discussing blackface, where you have Jamie Foxx talking about Robert Downey Jr. doing the blackface.
I just kind of got triggered real quick. I got a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think that somebody throwing out him doing blackface will lose less votes because it gets people to stop talking about him, talking about as he was a pediatrician, talking about killing babies outside the womb?
There are people saying that could have been a way to get the narrative off of. However, here's where I would say that that's not true or that's not correct. The blackface thing originated from one of his former classmates who's not even a Republican, not even that political, who was so outraged at the fact that he seemingly advocates for murdering babies after birth that he said, well, I know of a picture that's not very flattering of him. I'm putting it out there. So it was like in retaliation. That was the story that was told by a former classmate who is the originator of the picture.
I wish he wouldn't have done that. I wanted the narrative to stay on him for the baby murders.
Yeah, but isn't abortion front and center right now? I don't think abortion's taken a back burner seat.
No.
I mean,
they're embracing it wholeheartedly.
I mean, we had MahgdalenRose on, and she's leading with a new abortion book. So I think that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We have a couple friends on our Patreon following that are worried about talking about certain things will take the sole 100% focus off of other issues. And I'm just like, whoa. It's not going anywhere. We're going to still talk about it. So,
I had a guy at church approach me about that, talk to me about that, and said that he was upset that they're focused on the blackface. And I told him, I said, abortion's going to run long. This is running. Not only that, but apparently there's articles out right now that Kavanaugh is leading the charge to revisit Roe v. Wade.
Oh, I think that's great. Yeah. So we have the governor of Virginia who appeared in blackface next to a KKK hood person. Not good. No. That obviously is bad. There's other people who did blackface where they wrap a rope around the person.
This is the same governor who was talking about Charlottesville and the race and the KKKs and saying how we don't need. Yeah, I saw the clip of it, but I didn't get it.
Okay,
but he was talking. It was just so.
The lieutenant governor is actually a black man.
Yeah.
Who was not involved in any kind of racism.
He's right here at the top. He's second in command.
So we have Ralph Northam is the current governor who did the blackface or the KKK. Originally, he said that
he admitted today. He said I was the blackface.
Well, he originally admitted. The very next day, he said, "No, I don't think that's me." Flat out. He didn't say, "I'm not sure if it's not me." He said, "It's definitely not me."
Backed off.
So then everybody was like, "This is not believable. This is not going to work." So it got 100 times worse. How he didn't know that by saying that, no, that wasn't me. You can't prove it.
We were flipping the quarter. Which one would you want? Would you want to be in the white hood or would you want to be in the black face? I said I'd want to be black-faced. I would not want to be the hooded Klansman.
Yeah, either way, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So there's that. And then now you're saying he's finally admitting it again.
Right.
Because he realizes he can't get away with that.
Yeah.
The lieutenant governor, everybody's like, oh, great. He's a African-American Democrat.
He'll just rise up in the ranks.
Let's get rid of Ralph Northam. That way we can bring him in and we'll be all good and kumbaya. Well, immediately Ralph Northam was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. But Fairfax, who is the
Lieutenant Governor Justin.
Yeah, Fairfax turns out has some credible accusations from two different women who claim that he sexually assaulted them. The first one came out and everybody was like, for reals. First woman was consensual according to Justin.
Yeah, consensual.
But the story from the woman was that absolutely not, and I actually heard her description. It was very brutal. Basically,
it was at the DNC convention.
It was at the DNC convention, invited her to the hotel, and then literally forced.
Mauled, yeah. Did maul
forced.
Her. Yeah. He
totally
grabbed her
forced.
head, yeah.
And so she's doing that. And here's why it's credible. Because the only thing in dispute about all the facts presented, because he admits that he had consensual sex with her. So the only fact in dispute is whether or not it was consensual. So that's why it's credible. Couple days go by, and a second accuser comes forward. So Justin is in bad shape, Lieutenant Governor. That leaves the third in command. The third in line of succession for the governor position is a Democrat.
Well, but that second woman that accused him, she said I was fully raped, totally and fully, completely raped.
And when you have two credible, and they're both credible, two credibles coming out, it's not looking.
Well, you're going to go to court. You got to go to trial.
Right.
You got to go to court.
So Mark Herring is the Attorney General, and according to the laws in Virginia, the AG would be the third
successor
in line to take over.
But he got a mouth problem. He got diarrhea. He can't shut up.
He realized, gosh, this blackface thing is kind of controversial these days. It's not like the old days. It's not like the old days.
That's not like when we was kids.
Let me think back. Did I do blackface? Oh, I think I did.
Damn it, I did.
I think I did. How about this? Instead of just acting like I don't remember any kind of incidents like that, let's just get ahead of it. Let's just tell everybody what I did.
We all did it back then, man.
By the way, I've never
done blackface.
We've never appeared in blackface.
Not only have I never done blackface, but I don't know anyone.
Yeah, well, the closest I ever came,
in all the fraternities that I knew and all the parties we went to.
Yeah, I went to a
70s
themed fraternity party, and I went as the white guy with the giant afro.
Oh, that's funny, yeah.
But I wasn't trying to be black, but the white guy had the handlebar with the giant fro with the big collar.
Dude, that's coming back to haunt you right there.
No, because I wasn't. Maybe a little cultural appropriation with the hair, but everybody did back then. I was a 70s guy. My dad rocked that, and he was not in a wig.
Right.
My dad rocked that. He's got the hair. Anyway, so he decides, I was in blackface, so I better go ahead and get ahead of this. I'll just tell everybody, yeah, I did blackface.
We all did it.
We all did
whatever.
That. So now they're all like, this guy cannot be. Fourth in line is a Republican who is coming out and not saying that he has done any blackface.
No, he ain't said nothing.
You know why? Because he's Republican.
And while we, before I play that, this went pretty much viral on social media. And for those of you audio only, sorry. But
we can describe
I'll describe it. Here's the deal, folks.
This is an old picture. It looks like, if I had to guess, it would have been from the 80s sometime.
It was black and white, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, you could look at the age.
70s, 80s, yeah. Okay.
Color.
So this is a picture of Donald Trump on the top of a skyscraper that looks like it's under construction. He's holding a giant American flag on a big giant pole, and somebody from a level up is taking a picture down at him, and the skyline in the background, and the caption was, "You'll never find a picture," or, you're not going to dig up these blackface pictures on Trump, but you will dig up some old pictures on Trump like this, holding an American flag.
Yeah, and you can see the New York Manhattan skyline in the background. He's been a patriot from day one. From day one, Trump did not come out of nowhere and say, I need to take on a persona so that I can run for president and win.
That's what Democrats do.
He lived his entire life to one day become president, not because he wanted to become president, but because this is the kind of person that we all dream of becoming president.
Right.
Flat out. And I mean, he's just a patriot, flat out.
And when you talk about 10,000 hours of practice, Malcolm Gladwell, who is no Republican, Donald Trump probably had 10,000 hours of practice when he was 30. I mean, this guy literally has the qualifications, the quintessential qualifications that it takes.
Nobody more qualified to be president than him. The experience as a citizen, being a success in so many different things, big things. I think he set a new standard on what it takes to be qualified for president. Now, Carpe Dunkum made this meme video specifically for me. I just thought of this when I found out that a second high-in-command Virginia government official has come out in blackface, and I was just like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Meanwhile, in Virginia...
That is actually their capital, too.
Blackface scandal, Oprah Winfrey screaming, putting blackface on everybody.
So I just remember thinking to myself when I was hearing the news about the second blackface scandal was that I guess everybody's getting blackface in Virginia, and I thought of the scene from the Oprah Winfrey show where she gave away a car to every single person in the audience, where she's pointing, "You get a car, you get a car, you get a car."
I forgot I got this one too. Anderson Cooper, CNN. I don't know who did this.
Oh, gosh.
Carpe Dunkum's name isn't on it.
Okay.
But you don't need to hear it all. But I'll just play it real quick.
He puts his mark on it, so somebody else must have done this.
A few minutes ago, Governor Northam posted this video on Twitter.
My fellow Virginians, earlier today, I released a...
Okay, he's in blackface with a MAGA hat on. Why, Brian?
It's obviously like photoshopped or something like that.
Right, but why would you do that? Why would you air this on your show? Because, folks, CNN ran Governor speaking, and at the bottom screen with his name ran him as a Republican.
Oh, yeah.
They had an R next to his name as a Republican.
So whoever made that video put the hat on it as a tribute to the fake news of CNN, because CNN would have done that. Yeah, CNN would have put the MAGA hat on.
They blackfaced him on purpose because Orange Man bad, so they blackfaced the governor on purpose. CNN, and then put a MAGA hat. You might as well.
Unbelievable.
Orange Man bad.
Oh my gosh, that is kind of funny.
Oh, goodness gracious. Folks, so Attorney General, everybody's bad. It's all gone wrong.
It sounds to me, and by the way, Will Chamberlain pointed out that the governor will not step down, and then he went ahead and bet somebody actual money that he will not step down, the governor of Virginia. And so ever since then, I think he said he has $100 on it. So ever since then, he has been cheering for Ralph Northam to not step down, which is actually hilarious. I think that's really funny.
Hey, I'd put $1 on it that he doesn't step down.
But here's why that's not a bad thing for Will to cheer for him not to step down. Because every minute he's governor is going to be a mark on the Democrat Party.
We want Nancy Pelosi to stay where she's at. We want Governor Northam to stay where he's at. We want all these Democrats, Swalwell included, all y'all just stay where you're at.
Yeah.
Don't do a mass exodus like the Republican Party did for Donald Trump right here in 2018. Don't do none of that. Y'all stay right there. We got to be able to watch this for times to come. So then switch it over to abortion, which is still front and center. Planned Parenthood, I'm not playing the tape because it's not. I can't do it. Some of these tapes, these video undercover tapes, are so gruesome. It's so rough, folks. I can't do it. I don't. Like, it's seared in my mind, and it hurts me. And, like, I just want to throw up. It's so bad. But some of these undercover videos are just so wretched. There's a new one out right now with Planned Parenthood. And these individuals are inquiring Planned Parenthood lady about abortions for young women that they know. Like, they're not family members. They're just young women that they know. And he's saying, if I have some young girls and I bring them in, what's the youngest they can have an abortion at? And she's like, well, 15, 16, whatever. I mean, they don't have to say their name and or their age. And we don't even ask them. And he's like, well, what if she says I'm 14? Well, she says I'm 14. And she's like, well, just have her say she's 15, 16. We got wiggle room there. And he's like, oh, but if she says I'm 14 and I'm pregnant. And then she says, okay, hold on a second. She pulls out a piece of paper, circles an address, and says, here you go, send her there. They'll take care of it. Sex trafficking to get the abortions for these women that get pregnant accidentally by the Johns.
When I was in Arizona, it was well known that Planned Parenthood would give you or do anything you wanted without notifying parents ever, no matter what age you were. Period.
California just recently passed law I haven't been there in so long, but when I was there, they were trying to get law passed saying that young girls should not ever need a required their parent to even know about it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Abortion, obviously, really bad, and doesn't matter if you're really young. You shouldn't get an abortion because you're murdering a child, and that's not good. And also, you're going to destroy that person for the rest of their life psychologically.
Right, and the damage done to the uterus, the doctor already said. He said we go and grab and pull and tug, and whatever happens. It's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, it could do some damage for sure. But here's what's just almost as disturbing, maybe not just as, but almost as disturbing, is that if a 13, 14, or 15-year-old high school, junior high student walks in and says, I'm about to be sexually active, or maybe I'm already sexually active, and I'm too young to have children because I'm still in school, I'm still in elementary school, or whatever it might be. I need birth control pills. They will not only give that person birth control pills, and probably for free, because usually kids that age don't have that much money. They will not notify the parents. If you have daughters out there, even if they don't know, if you think, oh, my daughter don't even know that, how's she going to find out about Planned Parenthood? She needs one friend. Yep. One friend that says, I'm on the pill. How'd you do that? Psh, you just go to the Planned Parenthood. Psh, my mom will kill me. They won't tell them. Boom, just like that.
And once again, we've said it many times before, the pill was invented by a man to remove the word no. To get rid of the no from the woman.
To take the defenses away from the women, to take power away from the women.
Right. Not only that, but there was a former Planned Parenthood woman that was interviewed on one of the news shows, and she said that they absolutely love to get these girls on birth control pills because you have to take it exactly the same time every day within like a 30-minute, hour window time frame, because the more you're outside of that window time frame, like say I forget to do it and then I do it at dinner time instead of the morning time, she says the effectability of it is absolutely diminished. And they say that women that they give these birth control pills to become sexually active even more so and are beyond likely to get pregnant. She's like, it's almost guaranteed. They'll get pregnant. Almost guaranteed. Giving them birth control gets them pregnant. Yeah, they like that because then they come back for the abortion and you're like, Brian, why are they just killing babies?
Well,
y'all,
they don't care. I mean,
y'all, there's some bad stuff going on.
They have become, it may be a shock to everybody listening now. It would be a shock for me to witness ever any kind of an abortion or killing of a human being like an abortion does. But when they do lots of procedures every week or whatever, they are completely detached from it. There's a video that I saw this week. Oh, I think you have it. I think that's it.
The one where he's washing the parts?
Yes. That video I almost thought was a joke because of the way that the doctor was acting, the way he was talking, that's just everything about it. It seemed like it has to be a fake because he was so detached from what he was doing. Could you imagine playing around with body parts of people who died a horrific, violent, murderous death at the hands of another human being? I mean, it's one thing to be like...
It's one thing, no, it's one thing to do a weekend at Bernie's. I mean, right, he's dead.
That would be creepy, right.
But that was a joke. We knew it was a movie and he wasn't really dead.
Right.
But if you did that in real life, that would be
creepy,
messed up.
But that would be a person who died a peaceful, natural cause death. And in the case of Weekend at Bernie's, he got
offed.
He got killed.
But if you had a heart attack, yeah.
But to be playing around with limbs of a person that should not have died and was brutally murdered by another human being, probably the very human being that was playing with the limbs. I mean, there are serial killers that are just like, man, I'm in the wrong industry.
I need to get me a job over there.
Yeah, it's just, wow. Yeah, the detachment was just, that's when you realize that you're witnessing evil in its most purest form, when you see people acting that way.
Right, and these cadavers, as they refer to them as, are utilized. They're used, they're sold, and they're used.
Yeah, it's
for whatever reason they want them for.
Well, they sell it for money.
But they get money for all these, and the more that they can sell, the more money they get.
I mean, we're really close to a real-life Soylent Green situation because, I mean, whether it's used, like in the movie Soylent Green, they were using people for food. But why would they do that? It's because it's worth something to them in the movie. You know, it's something that would be sold for food. But, I mean, whether they're selling it for food or whether they're selling it for medical research or whatever a company wants to use it for, we're so close to that. We're getting so dangerously close. Philosophically, no different. You're just getting money for something. For human body parts.
Right, you're exchanging the sale of, and you're
producing it. You are producing.
You're
the
causing
body
it
parts
to happen. Yes, you're causing.
You're murder. You're producing it with murder.
Right. You're lying to these young girls. You're tricking them into having sex, thinking they won't get pregnant, knowing that they're more likely to get pregnant, and knowing that they now know who to get the baby ripped out of their body from. You're a one-stop shop. You started it and you're ending it.
I would love to be a fly on the wall when they have to answer to their maker. I would love to. I'd just be like, instant karma has finally got you.
I don't know how. I mean, how you start off and end up in that path. I just, it's beyond me. But
how do you explain that? How do you explain that to God? Telling you, I just, that's not going to be a good scene there. Not a good scene.
No, not at all. Anyway, so that's why we got to stay on top of this. We've got to rail against this. 2020 is going to be the election of abortion, the year of the abortion. Like literally, they are all running on Planned Parenthood money, and they got to be all in on this.
Earlier in the show, we had AOC given the scenario of an evil person. We should do a parody of that with the abortion.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Who out there is going to throw that together? It would be unbelievably viral. Were you talking about somebody running who's being funded solely by? It would be even worse because Planned Parenthood gets so much money from the government. It's incestuous.
Yeah.
Because you're literally running to fund your own campaign by doing whatever Planned Parenthood wants, and it's all on the taxpayer dime.
Stealing money from the people to run your campaign.
So
the vicious cycle you're in.
Taxpayer money comes in, it goes through the budget to Planned Parenthood, who then donates to your campaign, in which you use to pass legislation to give them more money.
Right. Absolutely.
That's the corruption we're talking about.
All right, let's shift gears, folks. We're running out of time here. We're still got to hit the again, I was telling you about the border wall. They're less than a week away. They've got no answers. Democrats have completely broke down and refused to come to the table. There will be another shutdown. We'll see how Trump handles this one. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, and there is video. There's footage now. Right Side Broadcasting News went down to the border with a drone, and they're digging trenches and they're building concrete walls.
Awesome.
There's also another video that I tweeted out on Twitter. There's a citizen journalist, or just a citizen in general. She's like, look, I told y'all they's doing this border wall. Look, I can't even get no closer. I'm in the guy's way. And he was setting up the structure and getting ready to pour the concrete.
So they're desperately trying to figure out how to be able to go into, by they, I mean the Democrats, desperately trying to figure out how to go into 2020 being able to tell you that Donald Trump has lied to you because he told you, he promised you that he was going to build the wall. And look, he didn't build the wall. He didn't do any of the wall. So they're going to lie. They're going to lie to you and say that no part of the wall was built, because why would it be built? Donald Trump obviously doesn't want it built, because if he did, he would have built it. And since he didn't build it, he lied to you. He's going to get all these people who are chanting build the wall to get all worked up and say, what a liar. It's the read my lips thing.
Right.
So read my lips completely destroyed Bush, and they're trying to recreate that with the build the wall.
And I know a lot of people are saying, read my lips, no new taxes.
Yeah.
I heard that first. The first place I heard that at, on this show.
What?
Yeah.
That was the first time you heard it?
Yeah. When we came up with it. We said it out loud.
Yeah. But I thought you said
I knew what George Bush did to no new taxes. Not that. No, I'm saying the first time that somebody connected those dots and said, oh, this is Donald Trump's no new taxes.
Yeah. So you're saying
that was the first time I heard it was here.
There you go.
And we were early on in that.
Yeah, and I didn't. I would tell you if I had got that from somebody else. I would tell you, either I would tell you who it was, or I'd say I don't remember where I got that. But no, just
because we brainstorm this stuff all the time, folks. We talk about this stuff every day.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, let's go to Russia.
Oh, Russia.
So Jack Posobiec on One America News, or sometimes One America News Network, OANN, has an exclusive piece on the Fusion GPS and Nellie Ohr's testimony. So we can let this rip.
Sure.
Last year on One American News, we interviewed Ukrainian whistleblower Andrei Telezhenko, who outlined for us the real sources behind the Fusion GPS Steele dossier and explained that they were actually Ukrainian politicians. Now, new testimony from a Fusion GPS employee has confirmed just that. We also reported on the connection between the DNC and Ukrainian operative Alexandra Chalupa. Well, first reported by Chuck Ross in the Daily Caller, Nellie Ohr, who worked for Fusion GPS, testified to the House that left-wing Ukrainian politician Sergei Leshchenko was a source of the dossier. Originally, we were told that the Steele dossier came from only Russian sources, paid by Fusion GPS on behalf of the Clinton campaign and DNC. In our interview last year, Telizhenko reported that Ukrainian political consultants who were pro-Clinton were tasked with coming up with fake stories about Trump, which were then fed into the Steele dossier. This was then laundered by the FBI to obtain a FISA warrant on the Trump campaign.
I've heard another part of that, of the Steele dossier, that there are Ukrainian political consultants that are working in Ukraine who were, before working with Renaissance, the Soros-funded NGO in Ukraine, that were asked to work for Orbitz and to write some fake information about the Steele, within the Steele dossier. They wrote facts, but nobody liked the facts and Orbitz which they wrote, and they asked them to fabricate or make up stories.
One American News has also learned that other individuals tied to this effort within Ukraine include Lyshenko, George Kent of the U.S. State Department, and...
That is so unnerving. George Kent of the U.S. State Department.
Ole Rybachuk, who is tied to progressive billionaires George Soros and Pierre Omidyar, the co-founder of eBay and son of Iranian migrants. Omidyar has funded numerous anti-Russia campaigns, including an anti-Russia propaganda network in Ukraine, which was profiled by Forbes. He also donated over $30 million to the Clinton Foundation. Other backers of Rybachuk include the National Endowment for Democracy, a CIA cutout organization. The collusion between Ukraine and the Hillary Clinton campaign and DNC has not been completely overlooked by all mainstream media, but it has certainly received nowhere near the amount of attention as the allegations about Trump and Russia. What's even more significant is the fact that in late 2018, a Ukrainian court actually ruled that politicians in Ukraine did interfere with the American presidential election. Who were the colluders? The court found that it was none other than the same member of parliament, Sergei Lyshenko, the same Ukrainian Nellie Orr admitted was a source for Fusion GPS. Additionally, the court named the director of government agency NABU as an individual who collaborated in this interference. NABU and Lyshenko were behind the so-called Black Dossier, the now discredited ledger that supposedly contained information about Paul Manafort's secret payments from Ukraine that was leaked to the New York Times during the election. Manafort left the campaign. That ledger was found to have been fabricated, but that announcement didn't come out until after the election. NABU itself was set up in Ukraine as a joint operation between the government of Ukraine and the American FBI under Barack Obama, James Comey. Much of the work connecting the dots here has first been reported by Lee Stranahan. The Senate should immediately call James Comey to testify on this situation, and incoming Attorney General William Barr should open an investigation into all of this. While Trump's campaign associates are facing charges for process crimes and unrelated matters, the Clinton campaign seems to get away with complete collusion.
Oh, my gosh. There's so many questions to be asked there. Philosophically, Ukraine. Okay, so you got Russia and Ukraine, both former Soviet states. It was all part of the Soviet Union.
Now, the Ukrainian citizens do not like Putin.
Right. There's definitely a high tension.
So when when he's saying that they're reporting, when Nellie Orr says, "Oh, it was a Ukrainian parliamentary guy," and you're like, "What?"
It kind of makes
you got dirty dogs everywhere in politics.
It kind of makes me wonder if the high tensions between Russia and Ukraine, and it seems like some sort of a collusion between Ukraine and Democrats. And, of course, they accuse us of collusion with Russians. I don't think there's anything there. However, we openly admit that we don't have a problem with Russia. We think that Putin likes Trump. Obviously, that might be a little strained because of some of the recent developments over the past couple of years.
Where Trump is now cut off Russia.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But I mean, just real generally, it seems like we have a lot of the same ideas of how we deal with Islamic terrorism, the idea of the way that the economy should go. It seems to me that Putin, and especially a lot of people say, well, he's former KGB, so he's clearly a communist. No, I think we already reported that He has enough power that if he wanted Russia to be communist, all he had to do was say, I want Russia to be communist, and then it would be communist.
Yeah, I think he knows he needs money, and in that sense, you're going to try and work deals to get your economy pumping and running.
But I don't think he's a communist. I think that he looks back at the fall of the Soviet Union, and he seems like a smart guy. He's probably like, yeah,
that didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't work. Let's not go communism. So I think there's some economic similarities. It kind of makes me wonder if you got the Democrat Party in Ukraine versus Russia and the Republican Party, whereas the Russians and Republican Party are not really working together.
No,
they're just the Democrats are just worried that they might start, so they're teaming up with Ukraine and really working very closely with them. Very closely, they're pretty much all the same entity.
But the Democrats started working with Russia back during Clinton's Secretary of State era. They were working with big Russian oligarchs.
So really it boils down to Russia or the Democrats being such committed globalists that they're just colluding with every foreign entity.
Yeah, whoever wants to collude with us will collude with you. Yes.
That I agree with that more because I just can't connect any dots that would show that there's enough love between the Republican ideology or Trump MAGA ideology and Russia to where I could say that there would be any kind of work being done between each other. It's just not happening. So if you're watching and you're wondering about all this stuff, I think I'm with Brian here that there's no connection whatsoever. The only connection that you could even bring up that doesn't count as a smoking gun at all is that Trump seemed to have his eye on doing business there before he went on to try to become a president.
Yeah, from what I saw in the reports, what Don Jr. had said is that they were looking, it was brought to them and they entertained the idea, but it never, ever materialized.
So it didn't even become a plan that anybody could pull the trigger on.
Right.
So it was just an idea that they were basically exploring the possibility.
Sure. Money. I mean, Bill Clinton went to the Kremlin and got $500 on a payday. I mean,
$500,000.
Sorry, $500,000 on a payday.
$500,000 to talk for an hour.
If he did, I don't even know where
they're just saying.
Is there any footage of that?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. So real quick, just a rundown. Donald Trump tweeting out this week. Trump tweeted out highly suspected. Sorry, oops,
that was a Freudian slip.
Because I was talking about Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
He's highly suspect.
Right.
Highly respected Senator Richard Burr, chairman of Senate Intel, said today that after an almost 2-year investigation, he saw no evidence of Russian collusion. We, quote, we don't have anything that would suggest there was collusion by Trump campaign in Russia. And then Donald Trump ended that with a thank you. He also tweeted out, not only did Senator Burr's committee find no collusion by the Trump campaign and Russia, it's important because they interviewed 200 witnesses and 300,000 pages of documents, and the committee has direct access to intel information that's classified. He tweeted this out, but it was a quote by Greg Jarrett.
Think about all, the most powerful, knowledgeable, and well-sourced agency that has ever graced the face of the earth, using 100% of all of their resources to try to make Trump collude with Russia.
Right, $40 million.
They just can't do it.
The closest they got to it was the Trump Tower meeting with the Russian honeypot, and that was completely staged. And
that was collusion on the Democrats.
Right. Before they went to the meeting, they met with Fusion GPS to get the story straight. After the meeting, they met back again with Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS, to report back what they had done.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That is full-blown collusion right there, and probably highly illegal.
Yeah. Lori Hendry at LRI Hendry, Hendry. Absolutely follow her. She's really, really good. She retweeted a comment from Trump, and that's why I saw this tweet from Trump is because of her. She tweeted out Representative Adam Schiff for brains, has secret meeting with Fusion GPS Glenn Simpson, but let's ignore that and continue to investigate President Trump. We are sick and fed up with this witch hunt. We are standing strongly and firmly behind you, Mr. President.
Yeah, she actually had a whole bunch of great tweets this week about all that. So definitely follow her and keep up with her takes on everything.
Right. And the last one, Donald Trump tweeted out, so now Congressman Adam Schiff announces, after having found zero Russian collusion, that he is going to, folks, this is true, Adam Schiff is going to be looking at every aspect of Donald Trump's life, both financial and personal, even though there's no reason to be doing so. Never happened before. Unlimited presidential harassment. That's my Trump. Calling it out. This is harassing the President of the United States of America, folks. And this is what Adam Schiff is attempting to do. To go and look at get the tax returns and look at the, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how he can possibly do it.
I'm actually surprised he's putting up with it anymore. He could put an end to a lot of this stuff. But
yeah, the kibosh.
Yeah, that's it's really annoying because this is our government. This is we the people. This is the people that we put in place to do their job. And I understand the checks and balances, but you know, if you're not going to impeach him, you got to stop harassing him. You know, either crap or get off the pot. Stop with the harassment. Charge him with something, and then you could say, hey, that's a – well, you don't really charge him. What you say is that's a high crime or a misdemeanor, so we are now going to go through the process of impeachment. And if you say to yourself, well, we have to continue to harass because we know that he did illegal things, but we just don't have the votes to impeach him, you've got to move on.
We don't have the evidence either.
Well, yeah,
we don't have the evidence.
And that's the
either.
reason why they don't have that's a great point, Brian. The reason why they don't have the votes to impeach Trump is because they don't have the evidence to convince enough people to vote to impeach him. If they had the evidence, trust me, people, if they had any kind of serious evidence that would lead anyone to conclude that there was probably collusion here to steal the election using any foreign entity to help them, there would be enough people to impeach him. Trust me, there would be Republicans that would be so outraged by this.
There would be a lot of Republicans on this one.
They would join up with all the Democrats, and they would have enough to impeach. So the fact that they can't come up with any evidence to supply them with the votes to impeach him, they need to move on. They have a job to do. They're legislators. They have all kinds of stuff that they are putting off to the side, not to do the job of investigating or impeaching, but to just flat out harass him. At some point, you have to make the determination that you're just wasting time, wasting taxpayer money. At some point.
Have you no decency?
At long last, have you no decency? Somebody needs to.
This is a little montage thing, a clip that I put together. This is the Whitaker, where he just voluntarily went up there to answer questions about what's going on. He's the acting attorney general, and they just wanted to harass the hell out of him. This is a little montage clip. I hope you like it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Whitaker, I'm going to be really straight with you up front. I'm going to cut you off if you make long speeches. We have very limited time. You do not need to thank me for asking the question or compliment me that it's a good one. I'll assume they're all good questions, and you're grateful. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Did the president lash out at you after Michael Cohen's guilty plea for lying to Congress about a Trump organization project to build a tower in Moscow? I'm asking you, Mr. Whitaker, did the president lash out at you? I'm not asking what he tweeted. I don't have a lot of confidence in the veracity of his tweets. I'm asking you under oath. Answer the question, yes or no. Did the president lash out to you about Mr. Cohen's guilty plea? And did anyone from the White House or anyone on the president's behalf lash out at you? Mr. Whitaker, did the president lash out?
This is all in secession. This is all in secession. This is all in a timeline.
You're not repeating?
No.
You're not repeating?
No.
Okay.
You honor about December 8th, 2018, to discuss a case before the Southern District in New York where he was identified as individual one. Did anyone on the president's behalf either inside the White House or outside the White House, contact you to lash out or express dissatisfaction? Yes. Did they reach out to you in some way to express dissatisfaction? Mr. Whitaker, you're clearly not going to answer the question, so I'm going to move on. You know Professor John Barrett, correct? Well, anyway, this is a law school professor who tweeted that you told him in June of 2017 that you were flying out from Iowa to New York City to be on CNN regularly because you were hoping to be noticed as a Trump defender and through that to get a Trump judicial appointment back in Iowa. You then went on to describe the Mueller appointment of the special counsel as ridiculous and a little fishy, that Mueller investigating Trump's finances would be going too far, that there is no criminal obstruction of justice charge to be had against President Trump, that there was no collusion with the Russians and the Trump campaign, that any candidate would have taken the same meaning as Donald Trump Jr. with a Russian lawyer, and finally that a replacement for Sessions could have reduced Mueller's budget so low that his investigation grinds to almost a halt. You said all those things, and they're all in print.
No. A professor said he said those things.
Right.
A professor said he said it.
And it answers Mr. Deutsch's question. The American people wonder, just how is it that Mr. Whitaker becomes the acting Attorney General of the United States in violation of existing statutes? Was he put there for a particular purpose? That wasn't a question. It's a statement. I yield back.
What a jerk.
Did they contact me to lash out?
Yeah.
No. Okay. No, Congressman.
Have you ever been asked to approve any request or action to be taken by the special counsel?
Mr. Chairman, I see that your 5 minutes is up.
I'm gonna get in so much trouble with I'm gonna get in so much trouble with YouTube for that one.
Oh yeah, you can't have more than maybe a quarter of a second of copyrighted song material, so you're banned.
And Eric Swalwell. It's just so
piece of work.
So fishy how he became Attorney General. Just so fishy. I just don't know. Fishy. He's just acting. He ain't even really there, guys. All right. Elizabeth Warren gets slammed by Trump again, calling Pocahontas. See you on the trail.
Do you guys know the reference? Do you guys know the Trail of Tears?
Oh no.
Oh, just FYI.
Booker comes out and just makes a spectacle of himself. He looks absolutely horrible when he speaks.
Hey, you guys heard, if you didn't know my description, check out last episode. I talk all about what Cory Booker is.
Kamala Harris was 29 years old and a budding young youth. Ran into a 60-year-old politician, 30 years her senior. They started dating and became the talk of the town. He appointed her to two different positions, two-level positions. And this is how she started her career. The politician's wife, she got involved.
There are people, I don't know who they are. I'm not
bad.
endorsing or condoning it, but people are saying that she slept to the top.
Well, if you look at the story.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah.
I'm just repeating, don't kill the messenger.
And then Kristen Gillibrand says eliminating all private health care insurance plans is an urgent goal.
Yeah, keep that up.
She also said, I believe that global climate change is the greatest crisis humanity faces. It's real, something we have to spend our time and effort figuring out how to reverse it. I think the Green New Deal is an excellent place to start.
It's the Green New Steel because climate change is a hoax.
Oh, with that being said, folks, this is a fast 3 hours you're going to spend with anywhere at any given time right here on Smith Radio. Share it with your friends and your family.
Share it everywhere.
I'll keep you guys posted on our new scheduled time. We'll roll it out. Carrie and I will talk tomorrow and just kind of move forward with it. Pray for us. I don't know.
See you guys.
Peace out.
See you guys on Twitter.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.